You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 380, Cannot be delved into 3. Chapter 380, Chapter 109 Cannot be delved into sigh, pity. Indescribable emotions. Lu Wenyan, Xia Yinqi, Hu Ping, Zhao Mingyue, the proud sons of heaven of that generation were all over 70 years old now. In the past, they were in the prime of their lives. In the past, they were glorious. Now, they were all old and frail. If they did not soar into the sky, they probably would not have many years left to live. Wan Tianxing interrupted his lamentation. He said in a deep voice, "Stop talking about these useless things. I really want to know about their situation." Back then, an expert close to the eternal realm, 3 sun-moon realm, and 7 mountain and sea realm chose 11 geniuses as their inheritors and passed down their main divine prose. Lu Wenyan passed down that guy's divine prose. Zhao Mingyue, Hu Ping, and Xia Yinqi passed down the main divine prose of 3 sun-moon realm experts. At the cost of the lives of 11 experts, are these divine scripts passed down useful? Wan Tianxing said seriously, of the 11 geniuses, a few have died, and 6 are still alive. Is this research reliable or not? We've been waiting for many years, but there's still no answer. I'm not the only one pressing for an answer. The other academies are also pressing for a clear answer. Some of the mountains and seas can't hold on any longer, and their time is almost up. If there really is any result, quickly announce it. Is the main divine text of the multiple divine languages useful, or is it just as useful as the others? Wan Tianxing said seriously, even the quest boundary has been asked many times. Lord Xiahou said impatiently, ask me. How would I know? It's not very useful for you to find Yunqi, and he won't tell you. Of course, if he doesn't tell you, it means that there hasn't been any results yet, or perhaps there won't be any results at all. After saying that, Lord Xiahou grumbled, it's useless even if you ask. Even if there are results, they might not be willing to pay you any attention. Look at how you've almost wiped out the many divine languages. It's already good that they won't come after you. Wan Tianxing said angrily, what does it have to do with me? I just didn't care, and I didn't suppress them. It was that idiot Hong Tan who didn't live up to his expectations. He was only a mountain and sea realm expert, yet he had to go through so much trouble with his innate talent. If I didn't fight for it, would it be my fault? If he was the boss, would I give it to him? At the very least, he had the title of Vice Dean of the Divine Arts College, but in the end? How many times a year does he come out? Wan Tianxing's tone was unfriendly. I won't take the blame for this. The 36 pavilion elders, the divine pills, and the divine talismans, all of them supported him. Including himself and the group of elders back then, the 36 pavilion elders, at least 10 of them supported him. He, Hong Tan, is a good-for-nothing. Don't keep throwing this blame at me. After saying that, he continued, on Zhou Mingren's side, there were quite a few Shanghai realm experts, and they fought for it themselves. Back then, there were only 4 Shanghai realm experts in the divine literature department, and now there are 8 of them. Do you want me to step out and suppress these 8 pavilion elders? Lord Xiahou shrugged and said indifferently, don't tell me, I don't want to hear it. The matters of your academy are your own matters. Yunqi is really not here, and I don't know where he is. Aren't you doing 2 things? What's the second thing? Wan Tianxing ignored him and looked at military advisor Hu. Hu Ping doesn't want to see anyone either. You're not allowed to harass her. Elder Hu said bluntly, if you dare harass her, I'm not done with you. Wan Tianxing was a little speechless. You guys, I really have something to look for them for. I didn't say anything about doing anything to them. Don't you understand what I mean? Many mountain sea realm and even sun-moon realm old guys can't hold on anymore. The divine text is passed down. When people admire it, it's better to condense it and pass it on to those geniuses to increase the strength of the human race. This is a big matter, not a small matter. Lord Xiaohou chuckled, I know, but, to be honest, I feel that 50 years isn't worth it even if it's true. With Lu Wenyan and the others' talent, 50 years of cultivation might have already reached the mountain sea realm or even the sun and moon realm. Was there really a need for this? Lord Xiaohou shook his head and said, back then, those people were injured, and some of them even had their lives on the line. They had no choice but to do so. In addition, they saw the strength of the fifth-generation prefect and saw the opportunity to be invincible. That was why they disregarded everything and went crazy. They passed down the divine text at the price of their own deaths. At this point, he shook his head and said, I still don't think there is much hope. Moreover, those old mountains and seas, the sun and moon, did not experience that battle back then. They did not see the glory of the fifth generation, and did not see how the fifth generation could explode and kill invincible. Even if they condensed the divine text, it might not be the same. Wan Tianxing nodded slightly, sighing, he said, this is also what I am worried about. If that is the case, even if Lu Wenyan and the others can really walk to invincible, it is only a special case. It is not a normal state. I still want to explore a stable path of the sun and the moon, an eternal path. With that, he said with a headache, the Academy has not given birth to the sun and the moon for the past 50 years. I don't know what is going on either. Fatty Xia. Oh. Lord Xiaohou's expression changed. Cough cough, Lord Marquis. Myriad Heaven Saint coughed lightly and said again, the power of the civilized academy is also the power of the great Xia manor. There are some things that you can't just stand by and watch. Let's talk about Xia Yinqi again. The second thing I came here today is to borrow something from you. No money. Lord Xiaohou said directly, no money, no resources, no god-fiend blood, nothing. If you want to borrow my life, I have one. Do you want it? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 381, Cannot be delved into 4. Chapter 381, Cannot be delved into 4. Wan Tianxing choked for a moment. Fortunately, he was already used to it. He said to himself, I want to borrow the heavenly mirror. Wan Tianxing said sincerely, I want to take a closer look. Why is it that the Academy has yet to reach the sun and moon realm? Is it because the multi-divine language school has declined? It can't be. Before this, the single divine language school had also produced the sun and moon realm. But now, there are no sun and moon realm cultivators from the single divine prose sect. Why? Wan Tianxing really couldn't understand. Frowning, he said, the elders are all stuck at the 9th layer of the mountain and sea realm. It's not just us. Similar situations have happened in other academies as well. Is there a problem with the divine prose sect? Wan Tianxing's head hurt. Before this, I've calculated the situation of the various great manors and also the situation of the quest realm. In these 50 years, 7 sun and moon realm cultivators have been born. 7. Only 7. Wan Tianxing said in a deep voice, those who have run out of lifespan, died in battle, and died due to cultivation problems. There are 9 sun-moon realm experts who have died. In other words, in these 50 years, the number of new sun-moon realm divine scribes is negative, and there are still 2 less. Lord Xiaohou nodded, I knew long ago that there was indeed a negative increase in the number of divine scribes. But, including you, isn't that 1 less? Oh right, how many levels of the sun-moon realm have you reached? I'm still the mountain and sea realm, Wan Tianxing sighed, I've been stuck at the mountain and sea realm for too many years. Oh. Lord Xiaohou said casually, then I must have remembered wrongly. Let the mountain and sea realm be. I don't know who secretly killed the celestial sun and moon that died suddenly 36 years ago, causing the celestial race to almost kill their way here. I heard that there were some traces left at the scene, and the outside world said that my father killed him. This old man feels wronged, he didn't kill him. Lord Xiaoho shrugged and said, don't you think it's strange that the murderer knows how to use the heaven-splitting blade? The old man didn't teach many people either. If the Xia family wasn't a part of it, then there wouldn't be many people left. Could it be that Lu Wenyan went to kill him? He's quite powerful. That guy can actually kill a sun-moon tier cultivator. Wan Tianxing smiled and said, maybe the emperor of Great Xia forgot. That's right. He's bullying my father because he's senile and doesn't remember anything, right? Lord Xiaoho glared at him snappily. What are you pretending for? What's the use of pretending with me? Your sun-moon and yours have nothing to do with me. He couldn't be bothered to expose him, Lord Xiaoho said in a deep voice, use the heavenly mirror. Myriad Sage, it's not that I don't want to lend it to you. This isn't a matter of the Great Xia residence. It involves the entire divine literature master or even the civilized master. What can you tell? Be careful, you might even lose your life. Myriad Heaven Sage sighed, I have to take a look. Otherwise, I won't be satisfied. Although the heavenly mirror cannot reach the heavens, it can know the past and peep into the future. I want to see if the civilized masters are really going to decline. It's not that serious. Lord Xiaoho consoled, those old fellows in the search realm are still alive. It's not your turn to worry about this. Also, this so-called peeping into the future is just a joke. It's just a casual remark. There are countless possibilities in the future. Any invincible person can affect the future. What you see is just a possibility of deduction. It's not a good thing to expend too much vitality just to look at this thing. On the other side, Elder Hu also said, Old Wan, forget it. The heavenly mirror is just a fusion of a few divine runes. It's not a supreme treasure, just an analysis type of divine runes. The enlightenment it gives you might not be accurate. If you have the time, you might as well kill more experts of the myriad races and get some blood essence. Myriad Heaven Sage smiled and said, just lend it to me. I want to take a look. Even if it's just one possibility, it's good for me to make some specific arrangements, including the Myriad Clan Academy. I also want to see a possible development in the future. Up to you. Lord Xiaoho also reminded him. He knew that Wan Tianxing had his own ideas, so he didn't say much. He said, that thing is not with me. It's with the old master. I'll get someone to go to the War God Hall to get it. I suspect that they've already seen it. If you look again, the result will be the same. Don't delay your time to enter invincible. Ha! Wan Tianxing smiled bitterly. I am at the peak of the mountain and sea realm. It is hard to say whether I will be invincible in my entire life. Hee hee. Xiahou Ye's smile was fake. He said impatiently, let's go. I don't want to see you, you sinister fellow. I will be annoyed if I see you. Then let me know when Xia Yinqi is back. Got it. Get lost. Lord Xiaoho was getting impatient. He was really annoying. He was afraid that he would not be able to tell the truth when dealing with this fellow. After Wan Tianxing left, Elder Hu chuckled, Lord, has he really entered the Sun-Moon realm? What do you think? The possibility is very high, but I'm very curious. Why is he hiding all this time? Elder Hu frowned slightly and said, on the human side, it's not the time to hide yet, is it? What Manor Head Wan is doing is meaningless. On the contrary, he is missing a lot of opportunities. Lord Xiaoho chuckled and said, who knows? Maybe he's trying to trick some guy. Maybe he's an invincible realm existence. This guy, he's probably not invincible yet. If he really arrives, he'll probably show his fangs. Invincible, the human race or the 10,000 races? Then how would I know? Lord Xiaohu said impatiently, you want to go yourself. You're the wisest person in the great Xia mansion. Why do you have to ask me everything? Am I your father? Can't you use your brain? Elder Hu. He could not kill people with his eyes, or else Lord Xiaohu would have died countless times. When Elder Hu left in anger, Lord Xiaohu touched his round chin. He muttered, what are you all doing? Who is old Ghost One trying to trick? He has been holding back for so many years, but he still doesn't want to admit it. He has asked the Hall of War Gods several times, but he still doesn't admit it. Has he really not broken through? Sometimes, he wasn't even sure anymore. If it weren't for the fact that there were some things that he couldn't explain, he also felt that there was no need to hide the fact that Myriad Heaven Saint was still a mountain and sea. Unless this old ghost had a big plan, a big purpose. It must have something to do with invincibility. Otherwise, there really was no need to hide it. There were still many invincibility experts in the Quest realm and the Hall of War God alive. Even if he had broken through to invincibility, the myriad clans wouldn't specifically target him alone. Back then, when they targeted the 5th generation, they suffered heavy casualties, and the losses outweighed the gains. He, the 10,000 heavenly saints, was not an unrivaled expert of the same level as the 5th generation. I don't understand. Lord Xiaohu shook his head. It was fine if he did not understand, it had nothing to do with him anyway. There were some things that could not be investigated further. 50 years ago, when Lu Wenyan and the others were banished, the few more Divine One experts who had not died did not even say a word. Who knew what kind of agreement they had reached? Forget it, as long as these fellows send quite a number of experts to the army every year, it will be fine. As for the rest, forget it. P.S. Please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe. Come to Chidian Chinese website. Say the important thing 3 times. Big brothers and sisters will give you a free meal. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 382, Divine Text Rejection 1. Chapter 382, Divine Text Rejection 1. In the initial fusion pavilion, Su Yu was currently reading a book. It was a 10,000 stone realm cultivation technique from the Devil Scorpion tribe. It was a minor cultivation technique that was specially used to help the Devil Scorpion tribe strengthen the sharpness of their tail thorns. It was somewhat similar to the cultivation techniques used by other races to strengthen their bodies. Su Yu was inexperienced and did not read many cultivation techniques. At this moment, he was also reading with great interest. Even though everyone's acupoints might not be the same, they were able to comprehend things by analogy. After reading too much, he would be able to understand a thing or two. After reading for a while, Su Yu gradually began to have some feelings. He was still rather serious when reading, trying to figure out the meaning of the book and comparing it with his own body. It wasn't as if he had just skimmed through it. Just like that, after reading for half an hour, his willpower was greatly depleted. At this moment, Su Yu suddenly had the feeling of comprehending the divine inscriptions. At this moment, Su Yu was overjoyed. He relaxed. Bai Feng was worried that his comprehension of the Myriad Clan divine text was not strong. Reality proved that geniuses were geniuses. Even if it was the Myriad Clan divine text, he could still quickly comprehend it. In the Sea of Will, a demonic scorpion divine text gradually formed. Su Yu's little person jumped out, eager to give it a try. He could subdue another divine text. Now that he was in a good mood, subjugating the divine text should be easier than before. This divine text was the word, strong, of the demon scorpion tribe. It strengthened one's body and strengthened one's body. Su Yu felt that the effect should be pretty good. Just as he was preparing to go all out, the 3 divine texts residing in the small saber in his mind suddenly vibrated. In the next moment, the three divine texts controlled the divine text battle technique, the small saber, and with a buzz, it tore through the air. Bang! Suyu only felt his sea of consciousness roar. In the next moment, Suyu was stunned. The strong word was shattered by the small knife. The blood divine runes were absorbing the remaining willpower, and the thunder divine runes were still flashing with lightning. What's going on? Suyu was extremely solemn. Ever since the Golden Atlas had some reaction, these divine runes seemed to have lost control. The divine runes he had just condensed were actually shattered. The divine runes are conscious. He had previously felt that the Atlas was conscious, but at this moment, he suddenly felt that the divine runes were conscious. This was impossible. Suyu tried to control the divine runes, and it was as smooth as before. There was no other reaction. But Suyu was extremely uneasy. What on earth was going on today? He was still very happy just a moment ago. After looking through the text of will, he had already drawn out the divine runes of the demon scorpion race. He was a super genius. But in the blink of an eye, three divine runes were in trouble. Suyu's will turn to the Golden Atlas. The Golden Atlas was extremely quiet, and there was no movement. Then, he looked at the scribes not far away, and then looked at the Annihilation Beast skull. Suyu's willpower withdrew from the sea of will, and he fell into deep thought. He could still perfectly control the divine runes. Then why did what happened just now happen? The blood divine runes seemed to have grown a little stronger. The other two divine runes also seemed to have gained something. The outline of the demonic scorpion divine runes just now was not completely useless. After shattering the divine runes, the three divine runes seemed to have gained something. The demonic scorpion divine runes were killed by them working together. Devoured? Suyu frowned and muttered, why? He was sure that it wasn't his talent. He sketched the divine runes as fast as usual. Whether it was the human race or the 10,000 races, it was the same. The fragment didn't sketch the divine runes, so it could only be said that the fragment was too weak. But why would this result? A few divine runes are repelling the demonic scorpion race's divine runes. Divine runes might not have consciousness, but they are indeed repelling the demonic scorpion divine runes. The three divine runes that came first seemed to form a small group. They were repelling outsiders. Suyu did not know if they were only repelling the demonic scorpion divine runes or repelling all the runes. No, I want to try again. Once, he could not see anything, so Suyu decided to try again. After more than 3 hours, Suyu's face turned pale. Another divine text was shattered. Just now, he had comprehended an earth-be divine text, and it was shattered again. No, I just forcefully suppressed 3 divine texts. The divine texts are still under my control, but the repulsive force is too strong. Suyu had just tried, and he suppressed the 3 divine texts so that the divine texts wouldn't immediately destroy the new divine texts. However, just as he was about to subdue the outline, he discovered that the new divine runes had a strong repulsive force with his sea of will. In other words, even if he subdued them, Suyu still had to expend his energy to suppress the divine runes and resolve the repulsive force. The demon scorpion races can't do it, and the earth-be races can't. It's not that I can't outline them, but my sea of will has some repulsive force against them. The reason why the 3 divine runes shattered these divine runes isn't because I don't like them, but because they repel each other. Suyu frowned and sank into deep thought. Repelling. It didn't happen before, because what I condensed before was all human divine inscriptions. But now, what I condensed isn't human divine inscriptions, but 10,000 divine inscriptions, so I'm repelling them. He vaguely had some thoughts. He might be a little different. The repelling of his sea of consciousness might have something to do with the Golden Atlas, and his 3 divine inscriptions might also be affected by the Atlas. Rejection of the 10,000 divine runes. In this way, Even though Su Yu could outline and even suppress the 3 divine runes without destroying the 10,000 divine runes, it would be meaningless. He would also have to suppress a portion of his willpower to suppress them. I can't cultivate the 10,000 divine runes. It wasn't that he wasn't talented enough, or that he couldn't outline them. It was that he was rejecting the 10,000 divine runes. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 383, Divine Runes Rejection 2. Chapter 383, Divine Runes Rejection 2. Su Yu frowned and looked at the 3 divine runes once again. They seemed to be a little stronger than before. Interesting. The 10,000 races divine runes that are outlined have become their nutrients. This was not considered a waste. After destroying 2 divine runes, the 3 divine runes had improved a little. It was not in vain that he had spent 6 to 7 hours. Su Yu put down the book and emptied his mind. He had to consider the consequences of rejecting the divine runes. Also, if he shattered 3 of his human divine runes, would he still be rejected? He did not know. Of course, Su Yu did not want to try. Golden Atlas, human divine runes, recast frame. At this moment, some things vaguely formed a line. Absorbing the blood essence of 10,000 races, using the martial techniques and cultivation techniques of 10,000 races. Atlas, if the Atlas is a supreme treasure, then this Atlas might have been created by the humans. At this moment, Su Yu thought of many things. Under normal circumstances, blood essence was extracted from the blood of the enemy after killing them, turning into blood essence. Therefore, the Atlas absorbing blood essence was actually the meaning of killing the enemy. Kill the iron-winged bird, refine the essence blood, kill the mountain-breaking bull, refine the essence blood. The essence blood absorbed by the Atlas wasn't ordinary blood. The Atlas is in my sea of consciousness. It didn't make any movements before. When I was sketching the framework, it suddenly made some movements. I thought it was to extract some powerful light spots, but now, thinking about it again, why isn't it repelling some foreign divine runes light spots? My small knife sketched out 99 divine runes light spots. Can it only accept human divine runes? He thought of many things. The picture book might not be conscious or controlled by someone, but there must be something in the picture book, repelling the divine runes of 10,000 races. The picture book and the divine runes of 10,000 races might be hostile. The skull of the void beast can exist in my sea of will. Is that because it's a dead object and is already dead? So, the picture book is a supreme treasure of the human race. The picture book came because of a dream. In the dream, all races have been chasing me and killing me. Does this mean from the beginning that these monsters that appear are my enemies? The divine text rejected him. At this moment, Su Yu's thoughts flashed. Was the picture book a treasure or a divine text? A divine text of eternal inheritance. A special divine text of eternal inheritance. Is this a divine text? Su Yu frowned. If that was the case, where did he get this thing? Su Yu really didn't know. I'm too weak and have never seen an eternal divine text. It seems that I can only discover it once I become stronger. Su Yu exhaled and rubbed his face to sober himself up. Su Yu decided not to think about this problem right now. This was not something he could understand right now. If it's really the holy prose, perhaps I'll be able to know a thing or two when I get to the mountains and seas, or the sun and moon. Also, if it's the holy prose, that means it's the eternal holy prose of the human race. Su Yu suddenly realized a problem. The eternal divine text of the human race. Bai Feng said that none of the existing eternal divine texts were of the human race. That picture album, was it a divine text? If it was definitely the kind that would be passed down for eternity. The picture album did not reject the divine text of the human race, but it might reject the divine text of the 10,000 races. That meant that if the picture album was a divine text, then there was a high probability that it was of the human race. The human race also has eternal divine language. At this moment, Su Yu's spirit was instantly roused. That day, when Bai Feng said that the human race did not have eternal divine language, he was depressed. He was unhappy because everyone had a sense of honor. The human race was so strong. In Su Yu's opinion, the human race's divine language was also very strong. However, the human race's divine language could not become eternal. He was unhappy. Now, perhaps, the human race had it, but Bai Feng did not know. Yes, teacher is still young. He knows too little. Perhaps he does not know these secrets at all. The divine prose of the human race is not weak. Even if it is weak, after being nurtured for a long time, with enough time, it will become stronger. The divine prose of the human race can also become eternal. Su Yu raised his head again and looked at the books. He knew that these 10,000 races wouldn't be able to help him outline any divine runes. However, he still needed to look at them. On one hand, it was to train his willpower. On the other hand, if he could outline the divine runes and destroy them, they could be used as nutrients to nourish his divine runes. Su Yu realized that using divine runes to nourish the divine runes might have a better effect. The two divine runes that had just been shattered were only in their embryonic form. He discovered that the blood-type divine runes felt as if they were about to transform. This fellow had absorbed a lot of blood essence in the filtering room. There had been no movements all this while. Su Yu felt as if he had become much stronger after absorbing the remnant divine runes from the two divine runes. Divine runes are also divided into levels. Could it be that it's about to advance? Su Yu was somewhat bewildered. Of course, divine runes were divided into levels. Otherwise, where did the eternal divine runes come from? There was an explanation in the basic class, but of course, it was only briefly mentioned. This was because divine runes were only at the initial stage before soaring into the sky. I remember that during class, the instructor said that divine runes wouldn't advance before soaring into the sky. Only when soaring into the sky would divine runes have a chance of advancing to Tier 2. Could it be that my blood little brother is going to transform ahead of time? Su Yu shook his head, feeling more and more mystified. The 10,000 races divine runes had actually become nutrients, and seemed to have some special effects that could help the divine runes advance. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 384, Divine Inscriptions Rejection 3. Chapter 384, Divine Inscriptions Rejection. This is what I drew myself. The civilized masters of the 10,000 races are the type that soar into the sky. If the divine inscriptions manifest and I defeat them, will they be absorbed by me? Su Yu was considering a profound question. The blood essence of the 10,000 races could help him open the atlas. The divine inscriptions of the 10,000 races could help him nourish the divine inscriptions. Then, what was the 10,000 races? For 3 days, Su Yu was reading books. He only read once and would not read a second time. He did not want to spend too much time reading and break some precious originals. He did not know many languages and only found 12 original copies of the 10,000 races that he could read. Even so, reading 12 books in 3 days was already a lot. Reading this required willpower. Every time he read it, Su Yu would need to spend 1 or 2 hours to recover his willpower. Su Yu did not fully comprehend all 12 original books of the 10,000 races. Some books were so difficult to comprehend that Su Yu could not comprehend the divine texts. He only sketched out 6 divine texts in total. If he had left behind these 6 divine texts, Bai Feng and the others would have been shocked. 3 days. 6. However, Su Yu did not leave them behind. All of them were shattered, allowing his 3 underlings to devour them and grow stronger. Su Yu discovered a benefit. The biggest benefit was that this way, he did not need to spend too much willpower to nurture these divine inscriptions, allowing these divine inscriptions to devour those divine inscriptions fragments to nourish himself. Previously, I was still worried about whether I would be able to nurture these 99 divine inscriptions after they were outlined. Now, it seems that I still have other paths to take. 99 divine inscriptions. This stage was still manageable. When it came to the soaring stage, it would be difficult for Su Yu to advance them to rank 2 divine inscriptions. If there was no special method to advance a divine inscription, it would depend entirely on willpower to nurture it. It would not be possible without several years. Of course, one could nurture many divine inscriptions at the same time. For example, Bai Feng. Although he did not mention it, Su Yu could roughly guess that the divine inscriptions of geniuses like them had already advanced. Little brother Blood is showing signs of advancing. When Su Yu walked out of the initial fusion pavilion, he used his willpower to inspect the blood divine runes. This guy had absorbed a large amount of blood essence, and this time, he had swallowed 6 more remnants of the divine runes. The font was even bigger, and the red halo was becoming more and more obvious. It looked like, after a few more times, it might advance to rank 2 divine runes. In the outer room of the first Harmony Pavilion, which was used as a camouflage, Bai Feng and Chen Yong were both there. Seeing Su Yu walk out, Bai Feng felt a little cautious as he probed, "Did you succeed in sketching the divine text?" Su Yu hesitated for a moment, then revealed a silly smile and said apologetically, "Teacher, it's not as easy as sketching the human divine text. I only sketched the incomplete divine text of 10,000 races, and I didn't succeed completely." He wasn't lying. He had sketched the 10,000 race divine text, but it had shattered and been absorbed by his 3 underlings. The remnants had all been eaten, but there were still some remnants left. If his teacher didn't believe him, he could sketch another 10,000 race divine text after some time and keep it. At this moment, Su Yu vaguely knew that his atlas was very important. This might be the only eternal divine script among the humans. Although Bai Feng was his teacher, there were some things that it was best not to probe the hearts of others. The hearts of humans were not used to probe. Unless one suspected the other party, one should not lead the other party to do something disadvantageous to oneself. When he said this, Bai Feng frowned at first, then seemed to come to a realization. He smiled and said, "That's good. Even though it's incomplete, it's still not bad. Normal people should be like this." At the beginning, he was still a little disappointed. Turning his head and thinking about it, to be able to sketch 1 or 2 strokes in 3 days, wasn't that very normal? Even he had read the will of the text several times before being able to sketch that 1 stroke. Su Yu was clearly not normal before, all right. Now, he was a normal person, a normal genius. A mediocre person might not even be able to sketch a divine text in 3 to 5 months. Chen Yong also smiled and said, "Not bad, it's already not bad to have an embryonic form. Which race's script is it from?" "The Devil Scorpion race." Su Yu said, "I feel that the Devil Scorpion race's strong character still needs some time before it can be successfully drawn. The Devil Scorpion race is also not bad." Chen Yong nodded and said, "The Devil Scorpion race is ranked over 300, and the Tail Thorn innate skill is one of the more powerful innate skills among the 10,000 races. Its sharpness is extremely strong. Although you didn't draw the Thorn character, the strong character should still be not bad." Then, Chen Yong smiled and said, "In that case, you drew 4 divine runes, 3 complete, and 1 for the first time. This speed is very fast. Spend 1 to 2 months to draw the complete outline of this divine rune, and try to draw the 5th divine rune before the end of the year." At this moment it was only September 4th. The end of the year was still very early. It was close to 4 months. And Chen Yong's expectation for Su Yu was that he could draw the 5th divine rune this year. In reality, this speed wasn't slow at all. On the contrary, it was very fast. In less than a year, or even half a year, he would be able to draw 5 divine texts. In a few years, Su Yu would be able to draw 18 divine texts. At that time, he would be able to think of a way to enter the soaring heavens realm. Entering the soaring heavens realm in 3 to 5 years with more divine texts was even better than entering the soaring heavens realm in 1 or 2 years with only divine texts. Your senior sister entered the school more than 2 years ago. She entered the academy 2 years ago. Chen Yong couldn't help but think of his own disciple. He smiled at Su Yu and said, when she entered the academy, she had already entered a state of recuperation. After more than 2 years, she had outlined 7 divine runes. Now, she is at the critical stage, and her willpower is 95% full. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 385, Divine Inscriptions Rejection 4. Chapter 385, Divine Inscriptions Rejection 4. At this rate, in another year, she will have a chance to draw 10 divine inscriptions. Next year, she will enter the 10,000 stone realm. Everything is going smoothly. The year after next, she will have a chance to enter the soaring realm. Chen Yong was very satisfied when he mentioned his disciple. The year after next, the 4th year of her enrollment. If she can enter the soaring realm in 4 years, she will be comparable to some monsters. When Bai Feng heard this, he frowned and said, Jia Jia's injuries won't be delayed, right? It will definitely be delayed for a few months. Chen Yong sighed and said, there's nothing we can do about it. Just treat it as a training session. Let Jia Jia rest for a few months. In the past 2 years, in order to compete for the top 100 rankings, she spent all her time on cultivation. Su Yu asked curiously, Senior uncle, how long did senior sister spend to enter the top 100 rankings? About a year and a half. Chen Yong regained his smile. She entered the top 100 at the beginning of this year. At that time, she was already at the 8th layer of the Qianjun realm, and her willpower was 90% full. A year and a half was very fast. Of course, Wuxia entered the school to cultivate her character. This was still somewhat different from Su Yu. With the combination of the 8th layer of the Qianjun realm and the addition of many divine inscriptions, it was not surprising that she could enter the top 100. Wuxia definitely had the battle strength of 10,000 stones. This was certain. Then who defeated senior sister? Chen Yong saw that he asked about this and smiled. Don't worry about these. Your mission is to cultivate first, outline the divine runes, master more of the language of 10,000 races, and open your acupoints to strengthen your willpower. Chen Yong knew what he meant, but he did not give him a chance. He quickly said, you have many missions to follow, including the divine runes battle technique. It is not enough to outline the framework. The coordination, embedding, and development of the characteristics of the divine runes. Chen Yong sighed, I'm afraid you'll be busy for the next 1 or 2 years. There are some things that you don't need to worry about. After saying that, he continued, when you truly possess the combat strength of the 10,000 stone realm one day, without the use of your innate blood essence, you can consider the matter of the top 100. In the past few days, he had also received some news. For example, Su Yu had defeated Qin Qi. However, Su Yu had consumed the blood essence of his innate skill, even Bai Feng had hidden it from him. It was not a good thing for more people to know about it now. After all, the blood essence was an external item and a one-time consumable. Even if Su Yu had relied on the blood essence to enter the top 100, he would still be challenged every day. Definitely. When that time came, would Su Yu consume the blood essence every time? Would there be so much blood essence to consume? Wouldn't it delay his cultivation? Therefore, Chen Yong could only dissuade him at this moment, hoping that Suyu could rely on his own strength to mention this when he truly had the strength to enter the top 100. Suyu nodded and didn't say anything else. Uncle Master was right. The current him was still some distance away from entering the top 100. However, Suyu believed that he would soon have the strength. The prerequisite is that I need a large amount of blood essence and a large amount of the text of will, of the human race. Thinking of this, Suyu hurriedly said, "Teacher, is it alright if I don't go to class these few days?" "It's fine, I'll ask for leave for you." Bai Feng casually said, "Later, you can go to the intermediate class to report and then go to the advanced class to attend class. In addition, from today onwards, you have one more task every day. At night, you have to go to the detention area and feed the imprisoned demons." Chen Yong frowned and looked at Bai Feng. Bai Feng said calmly, "Senior brother, a civilized master who walks the path of attack must have some courage. If you can withstand the pressure and get used to it, when you meet the people of the 10,000 races, you won't be so scared that your legs will go soft." Chen Yong thought for a moment and nodded slightly. Suyu was Bai Feng's disciple after all, so he couldn't overstep his authority. In fact, he felt that it was still too early. The demons in the detention area were all very ferocious. And they were all very powerful. Bai Feng smiled and said, "This is nothing. When this kid is stronger, I will let him fight with those demons and have a real life and death experience. This is much more enjoyable than fighting with those students." Suyu did not feel anything when he heard that. He was still a little expectant. He wasn't a real newbie. On the way to the academy in Nanyuan, he had seen blood and killed people. But he had never fought with the fellows from the myriad clans. He didn't know if it would be different. He also realized that Bai Feng was a bit careless and reckless in teaching students. He proposed a goal and waited for you to complete it, then he wouldn't care too much. As for Chen Yong, he was a bit gentle. He would take care of everything, no matter how big or small. If Bai Feng was a free-range type, then Chen Yong was a mother type. Perhaps it was related to his age, but it was more related to his personality. Bai Feng, who walked the path of attacking and killing, cared more about the outcome and didn't care too much about the process. One gentle and one firm. This was Suyu's judgment of Bai Feng and Chen Yong. He wondered if his senior sister, whom he hadn't seen before, was the same as his martial uncle. It couldn't be said who was better, but Suyu felt that his martial uncle's side could be considered gentle but firm. He hadn't forgotten what his martial uncle had said when he had threatened that curator Zhou. Bai Feng didn't say anything more. He called out to Suyu and turned to Chen Yong. "Senior brother, I'm going back first. When my research is almost done, I'll settle the score with those guys." Chen Yong didn't say anything else. He waved his hand. He knew his junior brother's personality. Right now, that fellow was engrossed in his research. Once he was done with his research, it would be troublesome for him to reappear. He hoped that his teacher would be back by then. Otherwise, he might not be able to withstand it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 386, Detention Area 1. Chapter 386, Detention Area 1. Wentan Research Center. Suyu hadn't been back for a few days, so he was still a little worried. Of course, he wasn't worried about the dirty living area, but about the good place on the second floor. After returning to the research center, Bai Feng glanced at the mess in the living area. He coughed dryly and changed the topic. "I'll take you to the detention area on the second basement floor. Be careful, don't be scared out of your wits." Suyu smiled foolishly. Was there a need for that? Was he that cowardly? There are still 6 living creatures in the detention area. The rest are either dead or pretending to be dead. Don't worry about it. Pretending to be dead? Suyu asked curiously, "Teacher, what do you mean by pretending to be dead?" There are some creatures in the detention area that look like white bones to you. They might even be able to revive. Bai Feng chuckled. Some races have some special abilities. Even if there are only dry bones left, their lives are still there. As long as there is a chance, they can be resurrected. Your Grandmaster doesn't care too much about them. Those who play dead will just let them play dead. As time goes by, they will really die. Suyu nodded. He had learned a lot. They were actually able to resurrect after turning into white bones. Impressive. He was also very curious about the detention area. On the first day he came, he had already heard the commotion. After that, there was no more commotion. He even thought that the group of things below had died. Teacher, what do you mean by feeding them? Flesh and blood, Yuan Qi liquid. Bai Feng explained, you can't feed them too much. As long as they don't die, it's fine. I'll tell you how much to feed them later. Don't give them the chance to accumulate their strength. Otherwise, it'll be very troublesome for them to recover their strength. Yuan Qi liquid. Suyu was a little speechless when he heard that. We're so poor, yet you're still feeding them Yuan Qi liquid? Don't look at me like that. Bai Feng led him down as he said with a smile, only hard work pays off. If you don't starve them to death, you can feed them some Yuan Qi liquid. Every now and then, you can extract a basin of their blood and condense a few drops of their essence blood. Do you understand? How ruthless. Suyu sighed inwardly, but he did not feel much sympathy for them. When they reached the first level underground, other than the first time Suyu came to the storeroom, he did not come back. Bai Feng did not care about the storeroom. In a corner of the first level, he opened a door. It was a very complicated method. Above the door, beams of light flashed. Bai Feng's dragon-slaying sword had come out. Just like Chen Yong before, the dragon-slaying sword turned into a key and was inserted into the door before the door was opened. You still haven't been able to manifest the divine text. You can't attach some will to your divine text, so you can't open this door with normal means. After Bai Feng said that, a jade pendant appeared in his hand. He threw it to Suyu and said, you must take good care of this. You can use this to open the door. Because you haven't manifested the divine text, you can't put it into the sea of will. So once this thing is taken away by others and they break into our laboratory, they can open this door. Suyu immediately said nervously, Teacher, why don't? I just don't want to take it. This kind of thing, once it's lost, it's very troublesome. Moreover, under normal circumstances, when you say something like this, I feel that it will definitely be lost. Bai Feng was speechless. What did he mean by saying that it would definitely be lost? Cut the crap. It doesn't matter if it's really lost. The research institute may look like a dilapidated place, but in fact, the passageway you entered without the authority to forcefully barge in would have severely injured Shanhai. If Shanhai really barged in, this door might not be able to stop him. Suyu heaved a sigh of relief. If I had said so earlier, I would have been shocked. Bai Feng was too lazy to talk to him. After the door opened, there was a staircase behind it. After going down the stairs, there was a hall. The detention area isn't connected to the 3 underground floors. There's only one door, but it's actually a closed area. Suyu was still listening, but the next moment, he turned down the stairs and saw the scene in front of him. He suddenly had no mood to listen anymore. Cages. Metal cages stood in the hall one after another. At a glance, there were at least 20 cages. Not only that, the cages were only placed in the hall. At the back of the hall, there was a dark passageway. Suyu saw it. It seemed to be some rooms. It might be an isolated area. There was something in the cage. The first thing Suyu saw was a huge lion. A golden lion. Its fur was like gold, but it was a little dim at the moment. It was lying in the metal cage, its huge eyes looking at Su Yu, full of brutality and killing intent. Seeing Su Yu looking at the lion, Bai Feng said calmly, "This is one of the 6 living creatures in the hall, just call it number 3. According to the race, it is the Swan Ni clan, and also one of the top 100 races. The 9th layer of the soaring heavens. Your Grandmaster captured it alive in the heavenly battlefield 15 years ago. When he captured it, this fellow wreaked havoc in a military camp. Not many of the 1,000-man team survived. Don't pity those who treat the 10,000 clans. Those who can be captured are all not good people. They have killed countless people. Those who are truly not stained with blood are all in their lairs. Once they enter the heavenly battlefield, life and death are determined. You kill me, I kill you. Everything is ready." As soon as he finished speaking, the golden lion suddenly stood up and roared. The universal language of the 10,000 races came out from the huge lion's mouth. "Bai Feng, you can kill me, but imprison me, extract my blood, and cut off my flesh. Is this how you treat experts?" Bai Feng said calmly, "Number 3, you're not an expert, and you're not worthy of respect, so, shut up. If you fight with a human powerhouse of the same rank and kill him, then you're worthy of respect. You wreaked havoc in the barracks and killed those Stone Realm soldiers. What kind of powerhouse are you?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 387, Detention Area 2. Chapter 387, Detention Area 2. They're just a bunch of weaklings. The golden lion did not feel that it was wrong. I was passing by, and they actually dared to attack me. The lower ones are the better ones. They deserve to be killed. I don't want to argue with you. Bai Feng looked at Su Yu and said, "Ignore this guy. Over at number 3's side, give him a drop of Yuan Qi liquid every 3 days." With that said, he pointed at the cages and said, "This is all personally built by your Grandmaster." He found the Dean of the Divine Talisman Academy and set up a layer of lightning talisman on the cages. It's difficult to break the cage even if it doesn't reach the mountains and seas. As long as it dares to touch this talisman, it will explode with the destructive power of the Lingyun realm. As Bai Feng said, he continued, "There's a way to operate talismans. I'll teach you later. If it doesn't listen, then kill it. Every time I draw its blood, I'll strike it until it can't move anymore so that it won't cause trouble." As soon as he said that, the golden lion flew into a rage. "Ao." Bai Feng acted as if he didn't hear him and continued to speak to Su Yu, "It's just calling out for a while. Don't bother about it." After he finished speaking, he pointed at a metal cage at the side. It was empty inside. No, there seemed to be a dark area. "This is number 2, a member of the Shadow Clan." Bai Feng's expression became more solemn, "You can still see the shadow now. When we first caught it, you couldn't even see the shadow. This fellow is like an invisible person. It can attach itself to your shadow. Be careful. Don't go near it. Also, be careful that your shadow will be projected into the cage and be attached to it." Su Yu was shocked. Bai Feng smiled and said, "It's fine. There's a layer of divine light talisman outside its cage. In fact, your shadow can't be projected into it either. When it first came, it was at the 3rd level of Lingyun. Now, it has lost a lot of its blood essence. However, it's also very strong. In any case, you're no match for it. On its side, give it a drop of vital Qi liquid every 5 days." Su Yu was secretly shocked. He seemed to have seen the Shadow Clan before. It seemed to be one of the top 100 strong clans. The Shadow Clan and the Swan Ni were both top 100 strong clans. This Grandmaster of his was really quite savage. These fellows from the strong clans were all captured. Bai Feng continued, "The other 4 living creatures, look. He pointed at a cage in the right corner. Was there a cow squatting inside? Su Yu could only treat it as a cow. It was just a single horn. This is the mountain drill cow. It's considered a distant relative of the mountain break cow. The moment these words were said, a muffled groan came from within the cage. Bai Feng, I'm from the mountain drill cow clan. It has nothing to do with the mountain break cow. What distant relative? Bai Feng smiled and said, this is number 4. The Diamond Mountain Ox is not one of the top 100 races. It's ranked 182nd, but it's not weak either. This fellow is also at the 9th firmament soaring stage. Just like number 3, he will be given a drop of Yuan Qi liquid every 3 days. That's number 5. Su Yu looked in the direction of his finger. Beside the Diamond Mountain Ox, there was another cage. There was a tiny white cat inside. It was true. Su Yu looked over. If it wasn't locked up, Su Yu would have thought that it was just an ordinary domestic cat. Number 5, White Fox, don't underestimate it. It's at the 8th layer of the soaring sky and is ranked 375th among the 10,000 clans. It's good at sneak attacks and disguises. If it wasn't for the formless killing of the Shadow Clan, this fellow would be the true master of assassination. Its speed is extremely fast. That's number 6. Su Yu looked in the direction of Bai Feng's finger again. It was a bird. A crow. Su Yu looked at it for a while and quickly recognized it. He asked, Teacher, is that a fire crow? Yes. Bai Feng smiled and said, it's a fire crow. It's at the 7th layer of the soaring sky realm. Its body is weak, but it can fly and spit fire. It's a similar innate skill to the fire dolphins. However, this guy's fire can even burn through one sea of consciousness. It's very powerful. It's ranked 418th on the list of 10,000 races. 10,000 demons. Su Yu remembered it, but he was even more curious. Where was number 1? Number 2 Shadow Clan, number 3 Swan Ni, number 4 Drill Mountain Ox, number 5 White Fox, and number 6 Fire Crow. Su Yu looked around and saw some white bones. Could number 1 be one of them? Number 1, don't play dead. Bai Feng seemed to know that Su Yu was curious. He raised his hand and sent out a wave of divine text. In the next moment, a cage flashed with thunder and rumbled. A stream of water suddenly appeared in the originally empty cage. Gradually, it took the shape of a human. An Aquaman appeared. Following that, his facial features were revealed. He said weakly, Bai Feng, give me some Yuan Qi liquid. I'm about to die. Bai Feng ignored him, he looked at Su Yu and said, this is number 1, a fellow from the water tribe. Among the 10,000 tribes, there were 5 very special tribes. The 5 elemental tribes, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. These fellows were born in some special regions and were raised naturally. There weren't many of them. We don't classify them as the 5 tribes. Instead, they are a tribe, the 5 elemental tribe. Bai Feng explained to Su Yu, it just turned into a puddle of water. You didn't notice it. This fellow is very strong, at the 7th level of Lingyun realm. Your Grandmaster also spent a great price to capture it. Don't underestimate this fellow. Previously, in the heavenly battlefield, he disguised himself as a lake and swallowed an army of 10,000 people. It wasn't human, but a small army. Even the captain of the Lingyun realm was swallowed. Bai Feng warned, this guy doesn't need to be fed too much. 1 drop of origin Qi liquid per month is enough. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome if he recovers his strength. Got it. Su Yu nodded and was a little shocked. There were still experts at the 7th level of Lingyun. The weakest of the 6 living creatures was actually at the 7th level of the soaring sky realm. This detention area was really terrifying. Su Yu looked at the back of the dark tunnel and looked at Bai Feng curiously. Bai Feng also looked over and said in a deep voice, "You don't need to worry about that side. Even I won't go there. There are 3 rooms in total and 3 experts are imprisoned there. No one knows whether they are alive or dead. Only your Grandmaster knows." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 388, Detention Area 3. Chapter 388, Detention Area. It should be a Shanghai realm expert, I don't know the exact situation. Your Grandmaster is at the 8th layer of the mountain and sea realm. It is possible to capture a few early-stage Shanghai realm experts. However, my strength is not enough, and I will not seek death. The Shanghai realm has already reached a peak, and it is easy to be ambushed. Su Yu looked at Bai Feng in shock. Mountain and sea realm? Grandmaster even captured a mountain and sea realm expert. Why did he suddenly feel that his Grandmaster was so terrifying? Seeing Su Yu's shock, Bai Feng revealed a smile and said proudly, 8th layer of the mountain and sea realm, you seem to feel that there are many mountain and sea realm experts in the academy. However, in reality, this is the accumulation of the Great Xia Civilization Academy for hundreds of years. The Great Xia Civilization Academy is also one of the top existences in the entire Human Civilization Academy. The human race is one of the top 10 strongest races, and the Great Xia Civilization Academy is also a powerful academy. In terms of strength, the academy can even compare to the strength of some medium-sized races. The 8th level of the mountain and sea realm might be the only king of some weak races. Bai Feng smiled and said, so don't think that your Grandmaster is weak just because he's at the 8th level of the mountain and sea realm. Even in the Grand Heavens battlefield, he's an existence that can suppress an entire region, especially in the aspect of multiple divine runes. He's only stronger than some 9th level of the mountain and sea realm. Su Yu hurriedly nodded. I didn't say that your Grandmaster was weak. You said it yourself. Teacher, how do we feed him then? Just throw him in directly. Bai Feng explained, the Yuan Qi liquid can be thrown in directly. There's no need to worry about it. Remember, I'll teach you how to control the divine talismans outside the cage later. You can control them, but you can't untie them. Although the cage is sturdy, you still have to be careful that these guys really break out. Su Yu was a little worried. They were all experts. If his teacher asked him to feed them, would he one day be eaten as food by them? Bai Feng did not care what he thought and continued, I will send the Yuan Qi liquid to you later. Kid, don't be greedy. If you really starve these guys to death, then it will be troublesome. Su Yu hurriedly shook his head. Was he that kind of person? How could he do such a thing? I had never thought of it. Right, even if he deducted a little, these guys would not starve to death, right? Su Yu suddenly had this thought and quickly suppressed it. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not lacking in Yuan Qi liquid. When I go to the filter room on the 2nd floor to cultivate, it won't be any worse than Yuan Qi liquid. However, Yuan Qi liquid can be brought out for use, but the filter room can't. I think I only have 3 drops of Yuan Qi liquid. 1 drop for Chen Qi, and 1 for myself. Su Yu suddenly thought of something and hurriedly said, Teacher, where are my merit points? I almost forgot. Damn it. Where are my 1,300 merit points? Bai Feng glanced at him and saw that sweat was almost dripping from his forehead. He was a little speechless. What? Are you afraid that your teacher will take your merit points? Is your teacher that kind of person? Do I lack that much merit points? They sent the merit points themselves. I gave the 200 merit points to the academy on your behalf. Tell them that I preached Heaven Breaker to you in advance. I wrote the remaining 1,100 merit points for you. Ahem, I gave you a copy of War God Techniques 1000 June Realms article of will. After spending 300 merit points, I still have 800 merit points left. I'll pass it to you later. Suyu stared at him with his eyes wide open. You spent 300 merit points to buy me. Wait, you gave me a copy of War God Technique's Thousand June Realm? Yes, the Academy wanted 300 merit points to exchange it for another book. But I didn't want to exchange it. The key point is that you wrote it yourself, right? Bai Feng was indifferent and pretended not to see it. He had also used a lot of blood essence to write it himself. Although it was all wasted blood essence, it was still blood essence to make use of waste, wasn't it? Teacher. Suyu's face turned bitter. Are you already so poor? You even want the merit points of your students? Bai Feng felt a little awkward being stared at by him. He coughed lightly and said, "Don't be anxious. When teachers' research results are out, you will be the first to use it. Let me tell you, this result is very powerful. Developing a super divine prose. It is terrifyingly powerful, and its battle prowess has soared. It will soar into the sky in a 1,000-ton battle, and it will kill you in a single strike. Keep bragging." Suyu was helpless. Forget it, he could just take it as a change at the Academy. The Academy also had to pay 300 points for a change. Although he could skip classes once from 5 to 10, there was still a large group of people who could skip classes. Putting aside the trouble, he might not even be able to get to the front, and he wouldn't have that much time to look at it. It was fine. He was already at the 3-ton battle stage, and he felt that his enlightenment had slowed down a lot over the past few days. It wasn't bad to have this thing. It was just that 300 merit points, it was a bit of a scam. Suyu was helpless. This was too much. Bai Feng coughed dryly again and said, "Don't look at your teacher like that. He might even be hiding his clumsiness in his will essay." "Can your teacher, me, hide my clumsiness?" "Teacher, I didn't say that you wrote it yourself." Suyu rolled his eyes. "You self-destructed." Bai Feng glared at him. He was a little embarrassed, but he quickly calmed down and said, "How about this, when you have 10,000 stones, I'll write an essay for you for free." 10,000 stones. Suyu's heart skipped a beat. This was not bad. Bai Feng also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. 10,000 stones, you're still too early. Right now, it would take at least a year to reach 10,000 stones, right? No, half a year, right? Half a year later, your teacher and I would be even stronger. With the results of our research, would we still be lacking in money? We wouldn't be lacking in anything. Even if you are fast, you would still need half a year, right? Bai Feng secretly glanced at Suyu. Fortunately, he was quite easy to fool. Suyu also did some calculations. In the past 3 days, because he was reading, he didn't cultivate much and only opened 1 aperture. Now that he had opened 37 apertures, he was still 71 apertures away from entering 10,000 stones. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 389, Detention Area 4. Chapter 389, Detention Area 4. If I have enough blood essence, I might be able to open one in 2 days. That would take 5 months. If I can enter the secret realm a few times, that would be hard to say. Bai Feng said that when he wrote another article of will with 10,000 stones, the one in the 1,000 June realm would cost 300 merit points, while the one in the 10,000 stone realm might cost 400 to 500 merit points. After calculating, he had made a profit. Even a loan shark would not have such a high interest rate, not to mention that he could really obtain a 1,000 June realm, War God Technique article of will. War God Technique, the 1,000 June realm is 100 points, the article of will is 300 points, the Heaven Breaker technique is 200 points, the article of will would probably require 400 to 500 points. Suyu realized that the cultivation of geniuses really cost money. Just these Qianjun realm cultivation methods, martial techniques, and text of will alone would cost thousands of merit points. Of course, this was the path that the geniuses chose for themselves. The normal version of the Art of War God was free, so there was no need for the text of Yin. In fact, it was enough to get some merit points to cultivate a set of martial technique. The Qianjun realm was actually not considered to cost money. Let's see how you choose. Bai Feng did not stay long either. Very quickly, he taught Su Yu how to control those peripheral talismans and quickly ran away. At this moment, in the hall, only Su Yu and those guys who were imprisoned were left. The swan and I stared at Su Yu with its big eyes and no longer roared angrily. Su Yu did not know what those guys from the Shadow Clan and the Water Clan were doing. That single-horned cow seemed to be sleeping at this time. The white fox did not care about Su Yu. The fire crow seemed to be dead. The entire hall fell into silence. After a long while, the golden lion suddenly opened its mouth and said, "Little fellow, what's your name?" Su Yu. Su Yu said honestly, "Number 3, don't lie to me. Teacher said that I can't talk to you guys much. However, today is the first time we meet. From now on, I will be your breeder, so I can talk to you guys a little more." Breeder. When he heard this word, Swan Ni's eyes revealed a hint of killing intent. These bastards really raised them like animals. Swan Ni's killing intent exploded in his heart, but he did not express it. He spoke again, "I don't expect you to let us out. You don't have the ability either. Can you give us some normal blood food? I haven't eaten for a long time. That little yuan qi liquid is completely unable to satisfy me." "That won't do." Su Yu hurriedly shook his head and said, "My teacher said that we can only feed you yuan qi liquid. Even if we have to feed you blood food, he has to do it. I can't do it." Swan and I was silent for a moment before he slowly said, "I haven't eaten blood food for a long time. You can make whatever blood food you want. We won't mistreat you." After he said that, he paused. He said again, "If you can get something to eat, I can give you a few drops of normal blood. Essence blood. Those at the soaring sky realm are useless to you. Even if I have a drop of normal blood, it will be filled with a large amount of yuan qi. It will be enough for you to cultivate for a few days. The effect is even better than the yuan qi liquid." Then he said again, "You are at the Thousand June realm, right? After entering the Thousand June realm, you need a strong essence blood to cast your body. I can't give you my essence blood, but ordinary blood can also help you cast your body. The effect is much stronger than ordinary Thousand June realm essence blood." Su Yu hurriedly shook his head. "That won't do. My teacher will expel me if he finds out. It doesn't matter. It's just some ordinary food. In the past, when Bai Feng was here, he also made a deal with us. He hid it from your grandmaster and his master. As long as he doesn't let us leave, there won't be any problems." Swan and I said again, "Your branch doesn't even have enough merit points now. Bai Feng even deducted the merit points that belonged to you just now. Such a teacher, can he support you all the way? Do you know that the Thousand June realm is not even considered cannon fodder among the 10,000 clans? If you want to strengthen yourself, opportunities are very important. If you can enter this place, it will be your opportunity." Swan and I said a few words, and on the other side, the Diamond Mountain Ox who had been pretending to be asleep suddenly said, "Get me some food too. I can teach you a cultivation method. It's a very simple small cultivation method. There aren't many openings, but it can strengthen your body. My Diamond Mountain Ox clan has a strong body, not inferior to the Mountain Breaking Ox clan. Even if it's not some secret cultivation method, if you cultivate it, your body will be much stronger than the average human." The Mountain Drill Cow said in a muffled voice, "Get some food, I'm starving to death." "Kid, the opportunity is right in front of you, seize it." Su Yu still shook his head and hurriedly ran out. As he ran, he said, "If you don't believe your words, teacher said that I can't be bewitched by you. I'm not stupid, who knows if you're trying to seduce me." Suyu hurriedly ran away. When the door above was closed, Swan and I snorted. "Damn stupid cow, don't be too anxious." I almost succeeded. "Why did you interrupt?" The mountain drill cow couldn't be bothered and continued to sleep. Swan and I didn't say much and said in a muffled voice, "This new bee. What do you think?" On the other side, the fire crow that hadn't spoken all this while. Suddenly, his voice was sharp. "Observe him for a while more and don't act rashly." Swan and I, "You bewitched him on our first meeting. This isn't good. It's easy to make him wary of us. We should wait a little longer and seduce him by targeting his weakness." In the cage, the white cat opened its eyes at this moment. Its voice was feminine and carried a bit of coquettishness. "Swan and I, it's too urgent. A newbie who has just entered the sect is weak. If we slow down now, we'll be able to move him sooner or later." "Sooner or later?" Swan and I said in a muffled voice, How much time do we have left to live?" On the other side, the member of the Shadow clan suddenly said, "If we can't bring out enough benefits, it will be difficult to move him. It has been so many years, and we don't have anything good now. If we want to rely on a few drops of ordinary blood to move him, do you think it's possible? If he can enter the divine literature department, then he is a genius. Would a genius be lacking these few drops of ordinary blood?" As these words were said, the other demi-humans quieted down. "Shadow, what do you think we should do?" Shadow said gloomily, "Let's wait a little longer. It all depends on the white fox. White fox, you are a civilized master, and so is he. I don't think Bai Feng has much time to teach him. You, the understanding white fox, should teach him more. Don't be anxious. Let him sympathize with us first and let down his guard. The white fox looks the most harmless. If he trusts the white fox, our chance will come." The white raccoon coquettishly said, "Shadow, I'm harmless to begin with. How can I look harmless?" Hee hee. The few demons did not say a word. Their laughter was cold. Harmless. The white raccoon was the best at pretending. What was there to pretend? It was pretending to be harmless. They were all old acquaintances. Who did not know who was who? The reason why the white raccoon was captured by Hong Tan was because it was too unlucky. It was put on Hong Tan's head and was prepared to assassinate Hong Tan while Hong Tan was relaxing. In the end, he fell into Hong Tan's hands. He had hit an iron plate. It was not easy for him to survive until now. The white raccoon smiled too. "I'm really innocent. I've never harmed anyone. If you don't believe me, then forget it. This kid, when he comes back next time, I'll talk to him. Even if he can't leave the human realm, if he sends him to the Beast Tamer Academy and becomes someone else's mount, it's still better than being here, right?" The white raccoon said in a resentful tone, "If I were to recover my strength, I would be able to transform into a human. I wonder what kind of creature this child likes." At this moment, Suyu, who had left the detention area, suddenly muttered to himself. He smiled and said, 6 powerful demonic beasts. This blood essence. I have to trick them. Act a little silly, but with a little bit of cleverness. I hope they will take the bait. Master and the others can eat meat and give me some soup." Suyu chuckled. "You want to hook up with me? Fine, I want to hook up with you too. Feed me some blood food and give me blood. This time it's blood food, so we can build a closer relationship. Next time it might be something else, but next time it might be even more. Ordinary blood. I don't like it." Suyu rubbed his chin. He forgot to ask, "Are there any civilized masters of the 10,000 races here? If they manifested their divine runes and I shattered them, would it make my divine runes even stronger?" Suyu rubbed his cheeks and smiled innocently. I'm an honest man. I never lie. I'm a poor man. I'm very short of money. I hope someone can give me some. I'm a weakling. Everyone is trying to rope me in. I need to become stronger. If you rope me in, I'll eat your sugar coating. Hee hee. Cough cough. With a light cough, Suyu instantly stopped laughing. This laugh wasn't good. Ha. Suyu laughed foolishly. He laughed foolishly and honestly. I've discovered a treasure trove. 6 experts above the 7th level of the soaring heavens realm, they should be able to get some good stuff, right? You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 390, Senior Class Anecdotes 1. Chapter 390, Chapter 112 Senior Class Anecdotes 1. Suyu enjoyed being a breeder. As for the danger, he was still locked up. Suyu wasn't that worried. After being locked up for so many years, those guys would have run away long ago if they could. Of course, Suyu didn't dare to take a bite out of himself, afraid that something would really happen. That night, Suyu continued his demonic cultivation. On September 5th, Suyu continued his own course. Divine Arts College. Intermediate class. Suyu began to hand over the new class monitor. Actually, there wasn't much to hand over. The students just needed to give him their course schedules. The new class monitor was Wang Yun, who had been second in the monthly exams. Suyu had come to hand over the class before class started. When they heard that Suyu was going to the advanced class, many people had reluctant looks on their faces. Although they had long known that Suyu was going to the advanced class, now that Suyu had really left, they were still not used to it. When Suyu saw that everyone was reluctant to leave, he chuckled and said, "It's all right. Everyone's goal is to go to the advanced class. No one wants to stay in the intermediate class forever, right? I'm waiting for everyone in the advanced class. Hopefully, I'll be able to see my classmates again starting next month. I've been very happy this month. Thank you all for your help and support." Suyu thanked them. He looked at everyone and let out a sigh. He said, "Everyone's goal in coming to the academy is to cultivate and become stronger. The intermediate class is very good. I like it very much. The atmosphere is also very good. However, I still hope that everyone can be a little more nervous." Suyu said sincerely, "The intermediate class is certainly not as nervous as the advanced class, but I hope that everyone can spend this short intermediate class life as an advanced class student. I hope that very soon, we can become classmates again in the advanced class. Class monitor, why don't you stay, or else we will miss you." A girl called out with a smile, and Suyu also said with a simple and honest smile, "I will miss everyone too, but everyone is in the same academy, we can also see each other sometimes." However, he was muttering in his heart. Women were all obstacles in the way. This girl actually wanted to keep him as a roadblock on his path of cultivation. After chatting with his classmates for a while, Suyu packed his things and walked towards the advanced class. Both classes were in the same teaching building. However, the two sides usually did not have much contact. Since they were not on the same floor, the students of the advanced class rarely came here. A new beginning. Suyu muttered, a little expectant. The advanced class, this was where he should be. There were many geniuses, many evildoers, and a lot of pressure. This place was really suitable for him. Jia Mingzhen, Xia Chan, Wan Mingze, Hu Qiushen. Just this year alone, there were so many people worth catching up to, not to mention in the advanced class, it was said that sometimes they would attend classes together with some evildoers from the previous years. Suyu had some small expectations. The intermediate class really didn't have any pressure at all. There weren't even those who had a good temperament, and there weren't even those who had thousands of tons. Staying in a place like this for a few days was still alright, but if he stayed for too long, Suyu was afraid that his fighting spirit would be extinguished. He was someone who wanted to be strong. On the first day he entered the academy, he had set his target on the top 100 rankings. Advanced class. In the year 350 of the Anping calendar, there were quite a number of students in this year's advanced class of the Academy of Divine Arts, close to 100 people. Almost all of them were top-notch geniuses. There were a total of 8 people who entered the academy based on the evildoer rating. Among them, 6 of them were in the Academy of Divine Arts. One of them went to the Will Academy, while the other went to the Divine Talisman Academy. Hu Qiusheng, Xue Chan, Zheng Yunhui, Wan Mingze, Zhao Shiqi, and Zheng Hong were all on the evildoer rating. The Academy of Divine Arts covered 3/4 of the geniuses in the academy, and it was not just a bluff. On normal days, the students might not all be in the advanced class. But today, the classroom was filled with people. The atmosphere was very cold. A group of proud people sat together. If you don't want to talk to me, I can't be bothered to talk to you. The atmosphere was even a little depressing. Jia Mingzhen and the others were also there. At this moment, Jia Mingzhen felt a little regretful. He sent a voice transmission, "Hurry up and let the little fatty of the Xia family out. He's here. It's still more lively. If he's not here, it's too boring. Let him out." What's the point of not letting him out? The few of them sent a voice transmission to discuss. The little fatty was not here. It was not lively enough. It was useless to lock him up for a few more days. Master Xia Ho would not pay for it. There was no hope. Jia Mingzhen was a little bored. Suddenly, he saw someone. His eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "Lin Yao, you're here too. Did you know that Suyu was coming to report today and specially came to welcome him?" Beside him, Lin Yao was sitting alone. When he heard that, he looked at Jia Mingzhen with some fear in his eyes. His expression changed slightly and he regained his calmness after a moment. "Yes, I'm here to wait for Suyu." Jia Mingzhen was a little stunned. Lin Yao's eyes flashed with light. "I did lose. Even if I didn't fight, I still lost. But so what? Even an invincible powerhouse has a record of losing when he was young. Winning once doesn't mean winning all the time. Today, Suyu is stronger than me. The next day, who can be sure that he is stronger than me?" Lin Yao said excitedly, "In this era, anything is possible. Today, I came to wait for Suyu, not to admit defeat, but to tell myself that I still have a goal to surpass." Jia Mingzhen looked at him, then at the others, then at his old friends, and said telepathically, "Has this kid taken the wrong medicine?" Someone said faintly, "Don't be surprised. That kid Lu Hong is famous for talking the dead into the living. Lin Yao has probably been brainwashed by him. Just get used to it." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 391, Senior Class 2. Chapter 391, Chapter 112 Senior Class 2. Jia Mingzhen was speechless. Looking at Lin Yao again, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was good too. Previously, he thought that this guy was about to collapse, but he didn't expect him to be full of energy now. He looked like he was about to go all out. He was a little curious. This guy. Was he going to be stronger or more useless in the future? Even though he was thinking so in his heart. Jia Mingzhen still chuckled and said, "That makes sense. However, the number of targets above your head is a little too much. There are 98 people in the class plus Suyu. Other than you, there are 97 people. The number of targets above your head is probably around 20 to 30. Don't be afraid, work hard." Lin Yao's excited emotions froze. He glared at him and was a little angry. He was still excited, but this fellow actually came to attack him. Bastard! If not for some fear, he would have been taught a lesson today. After teasing Lin Yao, Jia Mingzhen looked at Wu Lan over there and laughed. Wu Lan, your old enemy, Su Yu, is here. You're a little lacking. I feel that he doesn't even treat you as an opponent now. Wu Lan tilted her head and looked at him as if she was thinking about something. After a while, she raised her head. She said coldly, I've looked at your information. You're already 20 years old this year, 2 years older than me. Mediocre. 2 years later, I'll be much stronger than you. You don't have the right to talk to me. Jia Mingzhen's tone froze, and his face stiffened. Back then, in order to increase their strength, it was more reasonable. Their age was indeed 1 or 2 years older than these students. They were all 18 years old, so it was somewhat unreliable. But now, he was despised by others. This girl called him a mediocre talent. Pfft. Faint laughter could be heard from the class. The few pavilion elders also secretly laughed. You had to tease this girl. Don't you know that her eyes are too high? You are already a 20-year-old genius, how can she look up to you? Now you are despised. Wu Lan did not care about the others and said seriously again, 2 years later, I will definitely be much stronger than you, so. Jia Mingzhen, although you're very strong now, you don't have the right to mock me, nor are you worthy. Infuriating. Jia Mingzhen's face darkened and he ignored her. This damned girl, if it weren't for your great-aunt, I would have slapped you away. Just as the class was laughing, Su Yu entered. Carrying his bag, Su Yu knocked on the door. With a smile on his face, he said, I'm here to report. I didn't disturb everyone, right? Looking around, there were really many familiar faces. Not to mention Wu Lan and the others, there were also a few people who drove in the same car on his way here that day. Hu Zongqi, Tong Wei. There was also Jia Mingzhen, who had walked the furthest during the monthly exam. The teacher had reminded him that these people might be a little strange, so he had to be careful. After he finished speaking, Wan Mingze stood up in class. With a faint smile on his face, he said, Su Yu, come in. The coaching hasn't arrived yet. Just find a seat yourself. Thank you, Student Wan. Su Yu had a bright smile on his face. His smile was even brighter than Wan Mingze's as he walked into class. He looked around and found a strange place. In the class, there were only 2 people with the least number of people around them. The seats were much more empty. One was Lin Yao, and the other was Wu Lan. After thinking for a while, Su Yu did not go to Lin Yao's side. How bad would that be? He had just won 300 merit points from him. He walked towards Wu Lan. It was a little strange. Why was this woman so unpopular? There were nearly 100 people in the class. Her surroundings were almost empty. Would she rather squeeze together than sit together with her? He walked towards Wu Lan's direction. Many people in the class were watching, and some of them had a hint of mockery on their faces. Wu Lan. The genius of the Wu family. She had a family background, talent, and good looks. Other than looking up at people through her nose, many people still wanted to get close to her. However, after the first month of school, everyone knew the temper of this eldest miss. Xia Chan was cold and arrogant, and she disdained to talk to others, but Wu Lan's venomous tongue made people vomit blood. If you don't want to talk to her, then so be it. She just had to say, trash, mediocrity, and, you're not worthy, all the time, yet she said it very seriously. It was only natural, who could stand it? Sometimes, when a classmate wanted to sit next to her, she would open her mouth and say, go away, mediocrity is not worthy to sit with me. Wu Lan was not beaten to death because of her family background. Otherwise, someone in the class would have wanted to put a sack over her. At this moment, when Su Yu walked over, someone wanted to see a joke. In the end, when Su Yu sat next to Wu Lan, Wulan did not even fart. This time, many people ate lemon. Pfft. Sure enough, the Wu family was snobbish. It was fine if it was superior, but not them. Of course, it didn't seem like it was fine to be a superior class either. For example, Lin Yao wasn't good enough. He was often ridiculed by Wulan. Suyu didn't know about this. At this moment, he was also secretly paying attention to the rest of the class. He realized that many of the students in the class were also looking at him. Suyu didn't say anything. He was a newcomer, so he kept a low profile. He just didn't see Xia Huyo. Where did this little fatty go? Suyu felt a little regretful. Xia Huyo was here, and there was still someone he could talk to. In the end, he did not see him. Now that he was here, he did not know much about the situation in the advanced class. Even if he wanted to ask around, he could not find anyone. Thinking of this, Suyu said in a low voice, "Student Wulan, where did Xia Huyo go? Why didn't he come to class?" Him. Wulan frowned and said with some disdain, "He was caught. He violated the rules of the academy and gathered people to participate in gambling. He was caught for a few days." Suyu was in a daze. Caught? How could this fatty be so unlucky? Last time, this fellow had said that he had a good time at the academy and that there was nothing wrong with the opening of the auction. Yet, he was caught just like that. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 392, What I've Seen and Heard in the Advanced Class. Chapter 392, Chapter 112, What I've Seen and Heard in the Advanced Class. He secretly sympathized with her, but Suyu did not care. He could just arrest her. After all, nothing would happen to that guy. He would be fined at most. Wulan originally did not want to take the initiative to speak to Suyu. Now that Suyu had taken the initiative to speak to her, Wulan thought about it and felt that there was no problem for her to speak to him. She opened her mouth and said, "Just now, you asked me a question. I asked you a question. Why are you at the third stage of Qianjun?" When these words were said, even if some of the people in the class did not look over, their ears were perked up. Indeed, Suyu's cultivation speed was too fast. Everyone knew that when he entered the school, he was still in Kaiyuan. In a month, he was at the third stage of Qianjun. This speed was a little frightening. Suyu was a little speechless. How could he have the nerve to ask such a question? Of course, he was an honest person. Suyu was a little honest as he said, "Isn't the opportunity to enter a mystic realm rewarded when you enter a top-tier school? I went to the mystic realm once and when I came out, it was already at the third layer of Qianjun." "I see." Wulan was relieved. She was only at the 9th layer of Yuan opening realm and had yet to reach the 3rd layer of Qianjun, so she did not go to the mystic realm either. Now that she heard what Suyu said, she did not feel anything. When she went back to break through, she would also go to the mystic realm to break through. When she came out, she might also be at the Qianjun realm. However, Suyu's words caused the others to be slightly shocked. Previously, everyone had already guessed. Now that they heard Suyu personally admit it, someone immediately asked, "Suyu, when you entered the mystic realm to break through the Qianjun realm, did you directly enter the Qianjun realm?" Suyu smiled and said, "Yes, at that time, I used the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. The effect of this essence blood is very good, so I directly opened my mind to 36 of them that day." Once these words were said, behind him, Lin Yao felt a piercing pain in his heart. Mountain-shattering bull essence blood. He had missed it by a hair's breadth. However, Xia Chan and the others raised their brows slightly. Suyu used the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. Did you think that they were not? They had never entered the 3rd level of the 1,000 caddies directly. On the other side, Wan Mingza said with a smile, "Suyu, I heard that you were only at the 4th level of the Yuan opening realm a few months ago. Do you have any tricks to cultivate so quickly? Suyu thought for a moment and said, if you want to talk about tricks, I might. Everyone's ears perked up once again. 4th level of the Yuan opening realm, 3rd level of the 1,000 caddies. Even for a few evildoers, it took them quite a long time to drink the Yuan Qi liquid like water. In fact, the people in this class did not lack Yuan Qi liquid. The consumption of Yuan opening Qianjun was not huge either. With an empty house, it was enough to supply them. He could condense Yuan Qi liquid. Now that their realms were different, it could not be said that the influence of resources was due to talent and hard work. Apart from a few freaks, there were only a few upper-class freaks in the class that had entered Qianjun. There were very few of them. Most of them were at the Yuan opening realm. This included Wu Lan, Hu Zongqi, and the others. As for Lin Yao, he had made a breakthrough, but it was a little difficult. Suyu said with a smile, because our southern Yuan is relatively poor, we have less Yuan Qi and cannot afford to buy Yuan Qi liquid. Therefore, we have relied on ourselves to cultivate since we were young and have not come into contact with much Yuan Qi. It was not until the higher examinations that I exchanged for Yuan Qi liquid to cultivate in a medium-sized academy. Suddenly, I realized that the speed was very, very fast. After coming to the Great Xia Manor, I realized that the Yuan Qi here is frighteningly dense, so the cultivation speed is even faster. Suyu said seriously, therefore, I guess that it is the first time I came into contact with such dense Yuan Qi, which is why the cultivation speed is so fast. I suggest that everyone do not use Yuan Qi liquid before the age of 18, or even do not stay in the Great Xia Manor. Instead, go to the southern Yuan to cultivate and study. When you return after the age of 18, you might end up like me. The moment he said that, the entire class fell silent. There was nothing they could say. Was it a lie? Not to the extent. There was more or less a factor in this. But which one of them wasn't 18 years old or older? Which one of them hadn't used Yuan Qi fluid to cultivate since they were young? You want them to cultivate in the southern element. Forget it, just pretend that they didn't hear it. On the other side, Jia Mingzhen was a little surprised. He transmitted his voice, is that so? Is it so obvious? Kaiyuan was too far away from him. Moreover, he didn't pay too much attention to these things. As for himself, he had long forgotten what had happened so many years ago. There are such situations, but it's very rare. It varies from person to person. Have you forgotten about that person from the Great Xia War Institution? He came from a poor family and was even worse off than Suyu. He had gone to the Great Xia War Institution. This time, Ling Yun had been there for a few years. His cultivation speed is also fast. Back then, when he came to our Yuan Qi realm, he was already at level 3 after entering. Once these words were said, Jia Mingzhen remembered. In that case, if he's talented and doesn't use the Yuan Qi liquid from a young age, he might be able to use the Yuan Qi liquid to cultivate when he grows up. The effect might really be a little stronger. Jia Mingzhen hurriedly said, is there anyone who does this kind of comparative experiment? If there is, let me have a look at the data of the experimental materials later. If it really works, then we really have to send our children to remote areas in the future. We can save some resources and train them, so that they will know more about suffering. After saying that, he sighed and said, the children of poor families are in charge early. Suyu, that kid, doesn't have a good background. Now it seems that he is a valuable asset. I think he is much more low-key and honest than the others. The few elders discussed. They did not have too many doubts about Suyu's words. Indeed, a kid who grew up in southern Yuan had never used Yuan Qi liquid. He had not even been to places with rich Yuan Qi. If he suddenly used Yuan Qi liquid and went to places with rich Yuan Qi, his cultivation speed might really be much faster. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 393, Senior Class Anecdotes 4. Chapter 393, Chapter 112 Senior Class Anecdotes 4. In the past, his talent had not been discovered. This kid was definitely a genius in the aspect of the physical body. It was not like there were no students from Nanyuan. However, Suyu was the only one who had improved so quickly. It was still a talent. Wan Mingze asked him a private question. Suyu did not stand on ceremony. He was not the one who would be at a disadvantage. At that moment, he looked at Wan Mingze with a simple smile and said, "Student Wan, my teacher said that all of you are monstrous geniuses. To be honest, I don't really understand, nor do I really understand. How many divine runes have you drawn?" Wan Mingze was slightly startled. Very quickly, he smiled and said, "This. I've drawn 3 divine runes. Of course, we did not walk in the more divine runes, nor did we want to form divine runes combat techniques. Therefore, under normal circumstances, we would not cultivate too many divine runes. We mainly cultivate a few main divine runes. At other times, even if we can outline divine runes, if it's not suitable, we'll give up on nurturing them." Suyu hurriedly nodded and secretly calculated that 3 divine runes was not a small amount. No wonder the assessment score was more than 1,000 points. He had the intention to inquire more about some things, but after thinking about it, he decided to give up. It was not appropriate to play dumb. Asking one question was simple, but asking too many would be ignorant and foolish. Wan Mingze had asked him first, but it was okay for him to ask. It was probably the first day that Suyu had entered the advanced class. He had also demonstrated his strength and talent. The atmosphere was not bad, but no one found fault with him. Including Lin Yao, this guy was also very quiet today. Suyu was satisfied. Hello, everyone." Suyu actually did not like fighting spirit that did not have any benefits. It was meaningless. It was nice to be amiable. Just as he was thinking, a figure flashed by the window. Suyu's expression changed slightly. It was this guy again. Once this guy came, he felt that he couldn't be amiable anymore. Lu Hong. Lu Hong entered the door. His face was still smiling, but his eyes were somewhat gloomy. "Damn it! Who the F***ck tricked me?" Recently, the black market had been saying that he, Lu Hong, was going to scam even a student and wanted to destroy the Xia family's business in the black market. He, Lu Hong, was monopolizing the black market alone. What nonsense! Do I have such a big appetite? Do I need to report the trivial matters of Xia Huyo everywhere? But 2 days ago, the academy suddenly rewarded him with 120 merit points. Lu Hong was really nearly angered to death. He had been hunting geese all day, but he was actually pecked blind by the geese. Someone was scamming him. He didn't even need to guess. It was so obvious. If this wasn't scamming him, then what was? He had been busy dealing with this matter for the past 2 days. As soon as he calmed down, Suyu came out of seclusion, which was quite fast. The higher-ups were urging him to teach Bai Feng a lesson. Zhou Pingsheng was just Ling Yun. Did he treat him as a mountain and sea? How dare he order me around? He cursed in his heart. Everything wasn't going well. Zhou Pingsheng was an idiot. He couldn't defeat Chen Yong by himself. It was embarrassing for him to stand up for him. Lu Hong didn't reveal his thoughts. Looking at Suyu, he smiled and said, "Today, Suyu entered the advanced class. Everyone knows him, so I won't introduce him anymore. After entering the advanced class, everyone's task is to enter the top 100 and soar into the sky. Everyone's task is very heavy. Previously, when the class chose the class monitor, everyone wasn't enthusiastic and didn't want to sign up. Suyu did very well in the intermediate class and played the role of the leader. Today, he happened to be in the advanced class, so there's no need for two leaders. The advanced class monitor will be Su Yu. Does anyone have any objections? No one said a word. Whatever. Anyway, we're very busy. Those few merit points, to be honest, many people also don't like it, wasting time. If Su Yu wants it, then give it to Su Yu. Su Yu cursed in his heart. I thought it would be easier to get to the advanced class, and you still want to do this. He also didn't expect that after so many days in the advanced class, there was no class monitor. Bastard. Do I care about those 3 merit points? I, Su Yu, am also a rich man now. With the remaining 800 merit points, plus his 146 merit points, he now had 946 merit points. He didn't lack merit points, cultivation techniques, and the language of will. At this time, he was preparing to cultivate by leaps and bounds, so how could he have time to be a class monitor? Class monitor, whoever wants to be the class monitor will be the class monitor. With this thought in his mind, Su Yu hurriedly said, Teacher, it's fine if you're in the intermediate class, but in the advanced class, you're a genius who's better than me. Forget about me, I don't have the confidence to be the leader. Lu Hong smiled and said, Believe in yourself, you can do it. Su Yu hurriedly said, Teacher. Lu Hong pretended to be angry and said, Student Su Yu, you've just arrived. Being the class monitor is also to let you understand the situation of the advanced class better and have the opportunity to come into contact with more things. Don't you cherish this opportunity at all? Su Yu took a deep breath. He only wanted to curse, cherish your ancestors. Forget it, I won't curse anymore. I can't afford to offend you. Lu Hong also didn't give him this opportunity. He immediately said, Class monitor's matter is settled. In addition, the school will organize a divine literature competition in a few days. It's a very interesting small competition. Everyone participate enthusiastically. If you win the competition, there will be some rewards. After saying that, he looked at Su Yu and smiled, Su Yu, you are the only new student in the multi-divine literature department. A few decades ago, in such a competition, the multi-divine literature department would definitely win. Don't embarrass the multi-divine literature department, try to get first place. Oh right, for the first place this time, I heard that the reward seems to be a set of will that no longer has the power of will attached to it. It was written by a Shanghai realm expert and is very famous. It is called, Mountain and Sea Search for Hidden Invitation. Although it no longer has the power of will, it still has some charm within it. The moment these words were said, many students did not pay too much attention to it. However, the expressions of a few people changed. They all looked at Su Yu. Su Yu was at a loss. What was going on? Could it be that it was very important? So Lu Hong wanted him to take first place, but these people were not satisfied. Monster, he was not very calm either. At this moment, Jia Mingzhen seemed to have thought of something. He laughed and said casually, Isn't this a post written by old Principal Hong? I heard that he really likes this piece of writing. Why would he take it out as a reward? Lu Hong smiled and said, Then I'm not too sure. It's a reward given by the academy. Su Yu's expression changed slightly. Hong Tan, a post written by his grand teacher. What did it mean? Was it important to take it out as a reward? No matter what, it was just a post that dissipated his willpower. Could it have some special meaning? He couldn't understand what these fellows were thinking. Su Yu remained silent. He went back to ask his teacher about the situation. Could it be that this thing had some special meaning? What he didn't know was that this thing came from the black market. Hong Tan's thing appeared in the black market. Someone had intentionally taken it out to slap his face. At this moment, Su Yu had never thought that there would be such a thing. He only knew that that bastard Lu Hong might have set him up again. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 394, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1131. Chapter 394, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1131. After Lu Hong announced these things, he left very quickly. In the morning, there were other teaching courses. Just like the intermediate class, there were also some basic courses, but they were more profound and involved some knowledge of willpower. Back to the research center. Suyu originally wanted to ask Bai Feng about the situation, but Bai Feng was doing research in the laboratory on the third basement floor. Suyu thought about it and didn't bother him. Suyu wasn't planning to go to the detention area either. He would let those guys hang out first. It wasn't a good thing to go too often. Besides, Suyu didn't have any urgent needs for these guys. Suyu wasn't too worried about the advanced class monitor. There weren't many people. Even if he was like the intermediate class, he would be much more relaxed than now. Taking advantage of the time, Suyu went to the second floor and continued his cultivation. As Suyu reached the third level of Qianjun, the cultivation speed of the God of War technique gradually slowed down. Even with the help of the iron-winged bird's blood essence, Suyu found that the iron-winged bird's cultivation of the Na Yuan technique was somewhat unsatisfactory after entering Qianjun. It was far from being as fast as the body-strengthening technique brought by the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence. Moreover, when cultivating the Na Yuan technique, it did not have the feeling of strengthening the body. The body-strengthening technique was different. When cultivating, Suyu could clearly feel that his body had become stronger. Strictly speaking, the cultivation effect of the Na Yuan technique was even as good as the War God technique when they were on the same level. After all, the War God technique was a top-grade Earth rank cultivation technique, while the Na Yuan technique was only a top-grade Mystic rank cultivation technique. The iron-winged bird was only a weak race, and was far inferior to the mountain-breaking bull of the top 100 races. I need the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence, preferably at the early stage of the 10,000 stone realm. Suyu made a judgment in his heart. With the mountain ox's blood essence, he could strengthen his body and cultivate at a high speed, at least 30% faster than now. The academy was too expensive. He had to look for that fellow, Xiaohuyo. There was no comparison and no harm. After cultivating with the mountain ox's blood essence, Suyu was still not satisfied even though he was cultivating the origin-absorbing technique at the 10,000 stone realm very quickly. 1000 June realm, the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence cultivation is better. 1000 rock realm, perhaps there are other race cultivation techniques that are more suitable for me. In that case, each realm might have different race cultivation techniques that are more suitable for me. The mountain-breaking bull's 1000 June realm is the strongest. Then what is the 1000 rock realm strongest? Suyu suddenly thought of this question. If he used different cultivation techniques to cultivate at different realms and strengthen his body, then would he be the strongest among his peers? There are 126 openings in the body strengthening technique. It's a mid-tier heaven-tier cultivation technique. I can feel where the openings are. Actually, I can cultivate the real body strengthening technique. Even if I don't open my blood essence, if I open 126 openings, I can actually cultivate it without using my blood essence. Suyu had been thinking about these questions for the past few days. The God of War technique was good, very good. But there were too many people cultivating it, so it wasn't too outstanding. Geniuses were all cultivating this. Under this kind of situation, Suyu actually didn't have much of an advantage compared to others. And some big families actually had their own exclusive inheritance cultivation method. For example, the Xia family's sky-splitting innumerable blades. As for the connection problem, Suyu wasn't too worried. For example, the body-strengthening technique, Suyu could actually open it all the way until he could obtain the blood essence realm. As long as he had the 10,000 stone realm and the sky-soaring realm, he could open it all the way up. Change the cultivation method? This thought suddenly flashed through Su Yu's mind. Very quickly, he shook his head and dispelled these thoughts. If he changed the cultivation method, he would lose a lot of things. For example, the accompanying martial technique, or the text of will. If he changed the cultivation method, he would not be able to use these anymore. Unless. A thought flashed through Su Yu's mind. Unless he opened many apertures and included all the apertures of these cultivation techniques, then he would be able to convert them into any cultivation technique at any time. Do you think that I'm cultivating the Aries art? Wrong. I'm cultivating the body strengthening art. Do you think that I'm cultivating the body strengthening art? Wrong, I'm cultivating the essence storage art. If I can really open many apertures and include all kinds of cultivation techniques, then that would be amazing. Su Yu fantasized that when the enemy thought that he was cultivating some kind of cultivation technique and made a counter move, I'm telling you, you're mistaken, I'm not. I can even intentionally expose some flaws for them to see. If they think that they've broken one of my apertures, then I'll be crippled. That would be the most fun, setting people up. Cultivation techniques had more or less some flaws. A universal cultivation technique like the God of War technique had very few flaws. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been used until now. However, it still had some weaknesses. The enemy would probably have studied it thoroughly long ago. If Su Yu exposed his own flaws and was used by the enemy to attack him and break his apertures. Su Yu would tell him why the flowers were so red. It's just that there are too many openings. It's a waste of time and resources. Su Yu quickly shook his head helplessly. Openings required resources as well as time. Su Yu was certain that he wasn't the only one who had such thoughts. However, just the 108 openings in the 1000 June realm of the Art of War God was enough to make everyone suffer. At this moment, who would have the mood to cultivate other cultivation techniques? When you cultivate other techniques, you will still be Qianjun, and others will have already reached 10,000 stones. At that time, even if you can trick people, it will not be of much use. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 395, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1132. Chapter 395, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1132. Everyone knew that if one opened too many apertures, even if they couldn't form a system, their own yuan qi would be stronger. But who would open so many useless apertures for no reason? Those that required resources needed time. But I feel that there are definitely some fellows who have opened too many apertures. He believed that there must be someone who had opened more apertures. In a battle of the same cultivation realm, if they were all warriors with the same cultivation technique and martial technique, it would be up to them to see who had the deeper foundation. Those who had opened more apertures were more experienced, and their weapons were sharper. These were all foundations. He didn't seem to have heard much about the Civilization Academy, but there would definitely be such people in the Zhanjiang College. It was just like how people in Civilization University would draw more divine runes. The geniuses of Civilization University might not only have 108 apertures, but there might be even more. It could be 120,130. No one told Su Yu about these things. It was all Su Yu's own deduction. He felt that his deduction wasn't wrong. If time and conditions permit, I should open more apertures. I know quite a lot of cultivation techniques now. Moreover, Su Yu had a greater advantage than others. When he borrowed essence blood to cultivate, those apertures had actually been opened temporarily. He clearly knew where those apertures were. Knowing how those apertures formed the cycle was actually equivalent to him mastering the text of will of these cultivation techniques. The functions of the atlas were being developed step by Su Yu himself. It was borrowed at the last minute. After all, it was only borrowed at the last minute. It was his own that was more real. After gaining enlightenment and learning those cultivation techniques, why would he need to devour essence blood to cultivate? At this moment, Suyu was thinking a lot. He was also cultivating even harder. The earlier he reached the critical mass 9 levels, the more apertures he opened, becoming an invincible expert in the critical mass 9 levels. Or the earlier he reached the critical mass 9 levels, the earlier he became an expert in the critical mass 9 levels. After all, it took a lot of time to prepare for the flight. On the 5th day, Suyu didn't meet Xiaohuyo. It wasn't until the 6th day when he went to the nature garden that Suyu met Xiaohuyo this time. This guy seemed to have gained some weight after not seeing him for a few days. When he saw Suyu, Xiaohuyo looked like he was seeing his family. He hurriedly said, "Suyu, I finally met you. You don't know about the plate from last time. I was cheated by someone and swept by the academy. I lost more than 10,000 merit points." Suyu was speechless. "Don't you know how to count when you bully me? A total of 12,000 merit points. I've heard from others that more than half of them bet on Lin Yao winning. You don't have to pay for that, right? At most, you lost 5,000 merit points." Xiaohuyo was embarrassed. This guy was really stubborn about merit points. He had calculated it clearly. It was really similar to what Suyu had said. "Even so, I've suffered a terrible loss," Xiaohuyo said with a sad face. "The academy is too dark. I'm now heavily in debt. Don't cry poor with me." Suyu couldn't be bothered with him. As he walked upstairs, he said, "Call someone to teach. I'll leave this side to you from now on." "What? I'm the senior class monitor. Do you have any objections to leaving it to you?" Xiaohuyo blinked. "You're the class monitor again?" "That's right, that fellow Lu Hong tricked me." Suyu was too lazy to say anything else. Xiaohuyo burst out laughing, but he didn't care too much about it. He laughed and said, "All right, actually, there's no need to rush the advanced class. If you rush these guys, he won't be grateful. On the contrary, he'll be unhappy. You don't have to worry about assistant instructor Lu's side either. The advanced class students are all like this. Could it be that he'll find trouble with you over this matter?" Suyu nodded slightly and didn't say much. After taking a few steps, he whispered, "Can you get me a batch of mountain ox essence blood? This is very difficult. It's not from the 1,000 June realm, it's from the 10,000 stone realm." Suyu directly said, "The early stage of the 10,000 stone realm needs to be cheap. Give me a fair price. We've done a few transactions before, and we've already traded more than 100 merit points. There will only be more later on. I'm Qianjun. Xiaohuyo, give us a fair price. Let's make a long-term deal. In the future, we can also make a deal of 10 million points. Mountain ox blood essence in the stone realm." Xiaohuyo frowned slightly. To be honest, it's not difficult to find the blood essence of the top 100 races in the sky realm. However, it's really not easy to find Qianjun 0,000,000 stones, and the price isn't cheap either. On the battlefield of the heavens, many of the armies of the top 100 races are vassals. The armies that truly belong to them are rarely seen by you and rarely appear in the public eye. On the other hand, it's not rare to see soaring sky. It's common to see soaring sky and Lingyun from the top 100 races. Suyu raised his eyebrows and asked, "Can you get the blood essence of the top 100 soaring realm and above?" "Yes, do you need it?" "No." Suyu was just asking. He was currently consuming the blood essence of the sky realm. He was worried that he would explode if he consumed it. He would not be able to wait for the album to absorb it. Actually, it would take some time for the album to absorb it. He calculated that it would be best for him to consume the blood essence of the initial stage of Qianjun realm. If he consumed the blood essence of Qianjun realm, then he could consider the intermediate stage of Qianjun realm. One realm higher would be enough. If he wanted to consume the soaring realm blood essence, he would need to reach the 10,000 stone realm at the very least. Xia Huyo did not ask anymore and said in a low voice, "I'll try my best to help you collect the mountain-breaking ox blood essence in the 10,000 stone realm. The Academy has set the price at 15 merit points per drop. It's too expensive." Su Yu interrupted him, "Don't follow the Academy's standards." "Of course." Xia Huyo smiled and said, "How about this? I still want to do your long-term business. I'll give you a real discount price of 13 merit points per drop. It's definitely worth it." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 396, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1133. Chapter 396, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 113, it's expensive. It's really not expensive. Xia Huyo explained, the essence blood is something that can only be condensed into about 10 drops after killing a mountain-breaking bull. The mountain-breaking bull is one of the top 100 races. The essence blood still needs to be refined, transported, preserved, and all sorts of labor costs. In the end, I'll charge you 13 points per drop. Is it really expensive? Actually, the school's blood essence is already considered cheap. If you really want to buy it outside, it'll be even more expensive. It'll be difficult to buy even 20 points per drop. Xia Huyo said helplessly, it's not like you've never bought things outside. The school has already given us a discount, and we're going to the black market. To be honest, most of the time, it's just to sell things that are inconvenient to sell, so the price is cheaper. Su Yu said in surprise, the Xia family still has things that are inconvenient to sell. Xia Huyu smiled and said, it's not the Xia family, it's a lot of other people. Xia Huyu saw that Su Yu did not understand, he explained, think about it. We are not the only ones who can go to the heavenly battlefield. Everyone can go. If you go, you can hunt down the experts of the 10,000 clans. Some people can directly refine their blood essence and bring it back. However, according to the rules of the heavenly battlefield, even if you kill the myriad clans, these things still need to be counted. After coming down from the heavenly battlefield, you need to pay taxes and such. After all, to maintain the development of the army, you still need to pay these things. The reason why you can live freely in the heavenly battlefield is because there are many experts in the army. That's why you have the opportunity to hunt down your opponents. Isn't that the reason? Su Yu nodded slightly. He had not thought of this before, but now he understood. His eyes moved slightly as he said, you mean that some people have secretly hidden some things and returned without paying taxes? Yes. Xia Huyo nodded, he smiled and said, actually, there are many times when the army turns a blind eye to such things. After all, it's not easy for everyone. It's also a good thing for you to hunt down the 10,000 clans. The main target is still some large trading firms, such as our Xia family and the large trading firms in other state capitals. For lone travelers, most of the time, the military doesn't care too much about them. However, it's also stipulated that they are not allowed to sell privately. They can cultivate on their own, but if they sell, how can the large trading firms that have paid taxes be happy? Su Yu finally understood this time and nodded again. The rules were still quite humane. If you hunted down the 10,000 clans, it was also a meritorious service. It didn't matter if you used it for cultivation or if you gave it to your family. However, if you were to sell it to the outside world and you didn't pay taxes, those large trading companies would have to pay taxes and fees. Then, your costs would be much lower. If this continued, the large trading companies wouldn't be happy either. If you disrupted the market and lowered the prices, the military would also have to reduce taxes and fees. They wouldn't be able to maintain the stability of the military, which would also be a huge problem. Therefore, they could only go through the black market. It was illegal. If they swept it, then so be it. There was nothing they could say. Their influence was limited. The various large manors would sweep it a few times. Suyu nodded secretly. He had some guesses. The Xia family entering the black market was probably not purely to earn money. It was more likely to control the flow of resources in the black market. Some loaners would sometimes secretly get back some precious resources. The Xia family would also know about it immediately. Thinking of this, Suyu suddenly said, "There are loaners in the heavenly battlefield?" "Of course." Xia Huyo said matter-of-factly, "Of course." They were not all soldiers. As long as you applied for permission, you could go to the heavenly battlefield. Of course, if you went alone, the probability of death was extremely high. That place is a mess. There are a lot of strong people there. Suyu was slightly tempted. If he could go alone, then his father sighed. Xia Huyo knew his information and knew what he was thinking at this moment. He said, "Don't think about it now. Let's talk about it when we're in the air. Walking alone is not flying. Hehe, we can't even run away. When we're in the air, we should at least run faster." "I understand." Suyu nodded. Mountain-breaking ox blood essence. I'm afraid that a 10,000 stone realm might not be comparable to a 1,000 June realm. 10 merit points per drop. Suyu, give me some profit. Every time you do this, I don't make any profit. Suyu ignored him and calculated. He said, "If you sell it, I want 60 drops. 600 merit points. Xia Huyo, I'm only at the 3rd stage of the 1,000 June realm. The scale of the deal with you is already over 1,000 merit points. To be honest, how many people are there who are richer than me? Those who are richer than me, they don't lack. Those who lack, they don't have money." Suyu smiled and said, "If you really want to talk about the future, trading with me is more worth it. It's more worth it than those freaks. They have families, and their families have strong people. Do they need to go through you to buy things? The customers of the black market transactions should be people like me." Xia Huyo laughed. These words were not bad. Suyu also understood. 600 merit points was really a big deal. Those who had money did not lack, but those who lacked money did not. "Alright, Suyu, I treat you as a friend. Since you've said so, I'll invest in the future and hope to make a big profit in the future. 600 merit points, I'll think of a way to get 60 drops of blood essence for you." Xia Huyo sighed, 10,000 stones and 1,000 June are the same price. Suyu, I'm really making a loss. Thank you. Suyu heaved a sigh of relief and thanked him. Although Xia Huyo was a businessman, he had saved 300 merit points, which was not a small amount. If he used 1 drop a day, he could use it for 2 months. If he used the mountain-breaking bull's essence blood to cultivate for 2 months in a row, his speed should be much faster, right? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 397, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1134. Chapter 397, I might not be able to keep a low profile in Chapter 1134. It's best if I can go to the mystic realm to cultivate. Thinking of this, Suyu asked again, what are the requirements to go to the Yuan Qi mystic realm to cultivate? Simple. Accumulate more than 100 merit points. Just pay 100 merit points at a time. Xia Huyo smiled and said, have you accumulated more than 100 merit points? I've passed. Suyu nodded. The first place in the monthly exam was counted as accumulating merit points. The 3 merit points of the class monitor were also counted as accumulating merit points. Of course, the allowance for geniuses was not counted. The class monitor counted the missions and duties. The monthly exam was a result. The allowance for geniuses was additional. Therefore, including these, Su Yu's accumulated merit points had exceeded 100. Among this year's freshmen, Su Yu suspected that there might not be many who had accumulated more than 100 merit points. Sure enough, when Xia Huyo heard that, he said with some envy, "You actually exceeded 100 points. You are really fast." There was almost no chance for Kaiyuan Xianjun to accumulate merit points. "I've only accumulated 56 points up till now, so I can't go to the mystic realm. There aren't many in the class who can go." Xia Chan seems to have accumulated less than 100 points. However, in a month or two, everyone will have the accumulated results of the monthly exam, so they should be able to go too. The prerequisite was that they had to do well in the test. Those who did not enter the top 10 would not receive any rewards, making it even more difficult to accumulate merit points. At this stage, Su Yu was probably the only freshman who could truly go. The main reason was that on the way here, he had obtained 42 merit points in one go. The rewards were too generous. Su Yu did not say anything as his heart stirred slightly. He still had 346 merit points, 60 drops of Mountain Ox Million Stone Realm Blood Essence, and a few drops of Iron-Winged Bird Blood Essence. Although going to the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm was definitely not as fast as the breakthrough, his cultivation speed would not be slow. It was different when he broke through. Back then, he was in a high-speed explosive period. But even on normal days, cultivating in the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm was definitely much faster than outside. I just have to be careful. It's best if there are no outsiders around. I can cultivate 3 times. Su Yu was unwilling to waste too much time on enlightenment. Going to the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm was the best choice. But spending money was also painful. More than 900 merit points. He was truly a rich man. Su Yu was certain that even those freaks would find it difficult to take out so many merit points. As for Chen Qi and the others from before, they could only take out those merit points for their foundation establishment. The family would support you once. But they would not support you indefinitely. Su Yu had some understanding of the big families at this moment. It was very realistic. If they gave you 1,000 merit points to build your foundation and you did not succeed, or if your foundation was not strong enough, then not only would they not sponsor you anymore, they might even cut off your later use. When they were generous to you, they were very generous. When they were ruthless, they were also very ruthless. I spent too much money, but I didn't have any income. Su Yu also had a headache. Just like his teacher, his lineage was destined to be poor. To think that he thought that he could use up more than 1,000 merit points to an endless extent. I have to enter the top 100 list as soon as possible and get first place in the monthly examination. It's not bad to be a class monitor. There are also all kinds of competitions with rewards. I should participate. Also, unexpected wealth, it's best if I can get some more. Lu Hong is very rich. He's always targeting me. He also has a student. Also, his younger brother must be rich too. At this moment, Su Yu thought of Lu Hong's faction. It was not just them. Zhou Pingsheng's faction, as well as Principal Zhou's faction, were not good people. They were always bullying us. He looked at Xia Huyo again. Gather a piece of information for me. All the information related to Zhou Pingsheng, Lu Hong, Hu Wensheng, and the others, mainly their students, disciples, those whose strength has not reached 10,000 stones, or those who have just entered 10,000 stones. Oh. Xia Huyo was stunned, and then he said a little excitedly, "Are you ready to do a job?" After he said that, he said excitedly, "I have the best candidate. Xia Chan. She was the student of Principal Zhou and was naturally not on good terms with your lineage. She was strong and extremely proud. If you were to challenge her, she would definitely not reject you, and she was also confident that she would definitely win. If you win against her, you will be rich." Su Yu said in a speechless manner, "Aren't all of you from the Xia family? So what? The Xia family has too many people, and I'm not a direct descendant. Who cares about her? You still dare to open the auction? Why wouldn't I dare? Xia Huyo smiled and said, be careful, it'll be fine. Su Yu, are you confident? I'm confident. I'll find you an opponent every day. If you're embarrassed to take the initiative to challenge me, it's fine. I'll find someone to help you guide the public opinion and let them find you. Xia Huyo smiled sinisterly and said, it's a waste not to earn money from these guys. Su Yu, I've already told you before. If you're not ruthless, how are you going to gain a foothold in the academy? As for plundering their resources, there won't be any burden. The rules of the academy are like this. Resources are concentrated in the hands of a portion of the geniuses. If you don't want them, the others won't be polite to you either. Su Yu let out a breath. Help me collect the information first. Give it to me later. I'll take a look first. Previously, I used my blood essence to unleash the battle strength of 10,000 stones. They won't be so careless. That's true. Xia Hu felt a little regretful. What a pity. Su Yu's true strength wasn't enough. If he relied on his blood essence, he would still be a little uncertain. The two of them chatted for a while more before walking towards the classroom building together. As for the other students, this time, there weren't any groups of people. There weren't many people to begin with. Many of them were in the high class and special class areas. Su Yu couldn't be bothered to pretend to be a good person. Those guys were all extremely arrogant. Even if he went there, he might not be able to find them. The plan might have to change. On the way, Su Yu felt a little helpless. I might not be able to keep a low profile anymore. He won't allow my strength. No, should say, merit points he does not allow. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 398, The Four Layers of Qianjun 1. Chapter 398, The Four Layers of Qianjun 1. No one was looking for trouble when they went to class during the day. They had just entered the school recently, and most of them were still in a high-intensity cultivation period. Only when they encountered some small bottlenecks, or when they were competing for the top 100 rankings, would the advanced class become lively. As for the Divine Runes competition that Lu Hong had mentioned, it was indeed just a small competition. It wasn't a formal competition, it was just some exciting means that the academy had come up with. There was still some time before the competition, and it wasn't now either, so Su Yu wasn't too anxious. He would wait for Bai Feng to come out and ask him again. Xia Huyo's efficiency was still very fast. The matter that number 6 Su Yu had told him, number 8, and 60 drops of Mountain Destroyer Bull's essence blood had been obtained. Xia Huyo had even given him a free copy of the information. He didn't receive any money, and this guy couldn't wait for Su Yu to stir up some trouble. Wentan Research Center. Only at this moment did Su Yu understand just how strong the Shan Shenwen faction was. The current leader of the Shan Shenwen faction was none other than the 9th layer of the Shanhai realm, Zhou Mingren. Apart from Zhou Mingren, there were also several Shanhai realm experts. Of course, in reality, there were some matters that these experts didn't care too much about. Zhou Mingren's faction was currently in charge of the internal affairs of the academy. It wasn't Zhou Mingren, but a Shanhai realm expert called Jing Yuming. Jing Yuming, first level of the Mountain and Sea realm. A high-level researcher, a newly promoted elder of the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, Zhou Mingren's eldest disciple, and a single branch master of the Divine Literature faction. This was the first time Su Yu had heard of the term branch master. This wasn't an official title, but a private title given by the various factions to the person in charge. There was also a branch master in the multi-divine literature faction. It wasn't Hong Tan, but Qin Yong. Hong Tan and the others had already left this realm and did not care much about these matters. The main task of a branch master was to handle some miscellaneous matters. In the single god language branch, Zheng Yuming was the branch master. Of course, he had already entered the Shanhai realm and become a pavilion elder. In a few years, he would give up the position of branch master and focus on being a pavilion elder. Zhou Mingren has 6 direct disciples: Zheng Yuming, Shanhai realm. Hu Wensheng, 9th level of the Soaring Heavens realm. Xia Chan, 7th level of the Qianjun realm. Apart from these 3, there was another person Su Yu knew, Zhou Pingsheng, 7th level of the Lingyun realm. Out of the 6 disciples, 4 were in the academy. Of the other 2, one had already fallen, and the other was developing in the demon suppression army. He didn't really return to the academy, so Su Yu didn't pay too much attention to him. Needless to say, Xia Chan had just entered the academy, and her status wasn't low. In fact, Zhou Mingren hadn't taken in any students for many years. Hu Wensheng was the last student he took in, and now it was Xia Chan. Su Yu had originally thought that Lu Hong was Zhou Mingren's student, but in the end, he discovered that he wasn't. Lu Hong was the student of another pavilion elder from the single divine language department. However, that pavilion elder seemed to be nearing the end of his lifespan, and he rarely showed his face now. Ever since he took in Lu Hong, he hadn't appeared in the academy for 5 or 6 years, and the exact situation was unknown. Hence, Lu Hong was a genius of the single god language department, but he was not Zhou Mingren's direct disciple. In his generation, Hu Wensheng was the main disciple. In Zhou Mingren's generation, Shanhai realm is the main disciple. His direct disciples are all at different levels. Of the 4 direct disciples in the academy, apart from Xia Chan, they have all accepted students. 3 of them are all full. The rules of the academy stated that assistant researchers could only accept 2 students, 4 at the beginner level, 6 at the intermediate level, and there were no restrictions on the advanced ones. Previously, Zheng Yuming was only an intermediate researcher. Just like Zhou Pingsheng, both of them had 6 students. Hu Wensheng had 2 students, and Chen Qi was only one of them. Therefore, they only had 14 direct disciples from the 3rd generation. Among them, there were 8 who did not make it. The other 6 had already made it. After all, Zheng Yuming was already in the mountains and seas, and Zhou Pingsheng was also at the 7th level of Lingyun. Su Yu focused his attention on these 8. Other than Chen Qi, there were 7 others. Excluding Lin Yao, he was Lu Hong's student and not Zhou Mingren's direct descendant. 7. The 7 who did not make it up. 4 of them actually made it into the top 100. One had to know that there were tens of thousands of students in the academy who did not make it up. There were only 100 people in the top 100. In Zhou Mingren's department, there were actually 4 people who made it into the top 100. Half of them made it into the top 100. This was very frightening. As he continued reading, Su Yu realized that he had still underestimated the other party. It was not that the 3 people did not make it into the top 100, but they were already over 30 years old. They might have made it into the top 100 before, but they had withdrawn from the top 100. This was because the top 100 was only the list of students who were under 30 years old. The ones they recruited are all geniuses. It's normal for them to have sufficient resources. As for Chen Qi, he can be considered the worst of the 8 people. His talent is only above average. At this moment, Su Yu suddenly understood Chen Qi's impatient and restless attitude. He wanted to use the mountain-shattering bull essence blood to build his foundation and become stronger. He wanted to kill his way into the top 100 and gain more attention. In his generation, including Chen Qi's 5 direct disciples, 4 people entered the top 100, but Chen Qi was the only one who didn't enter. How could he not be anxious? He's very strong. Su Yu originally wanted to give them a blow, but he realized that he had really underestimated this lineage. It was terrifyingly strong. The 8 third-generation students didn't make it, but Chen Qizai was the worst, not entering the top 100. And this was only Zhou Mingren's side. On their side, there were quite a few Shanghai realm students. The master took the students, and the students took the students. It was hard to tell how many there were. Huang Qifeng. Su Yu suddenly saw a name, and his face darkened. Huang Qifeng, 23 years old, entered the manor 5 years ago, ranked 79th in the top 100. A month ago, he defeated Wu Jiashuan.